From Mila Clark forcing her children to clean her private parts beneath a massive rotting lymphedema, to Delina sitting on a feces-stained chair right after a bath, to GD Covey's house looking like that of a hoarder that hasn't been cleaned in months, these are the grossest incidents ever featured on My 600-Pound Life. Starting with Stephanie Smith, from Season 11, Episode 6, whose episode stood out because of the condition she was living in. Not only did Stephanie sleep in an extremely cluttered room surrounded by mess and filth with almost no space to even walk, but the living space looked even more unsanitary and difficult to watch. Her mattress, which looked like it hadn't been cleaned for months, was dumped on her bed without any sheets, which meant that it had been collecting dust, crumbs, and everything she did on it for the longest time. Not only that, but her sheets also looked like she hadn't washed them in months or was just too lazy to do so. The space around her bed was also cluttered with mess and little trinkets, which made the room feel very cramped and murky. But the worst part of her room was not all this dirt, but the mattress attached to her own bed, where she made her little kid sleep. The little child's bed was cluttered with just as much filth as hers, and it felt as though he lived and suffocated in this clutter all day. But Stephanie didn't really seem to care much about it because at her size, all she cared about was getting up and eating whatever she wanted. What was even gross was how everyone was neglecting the filth on the floor, and the child had to even tumble on the dirt just to get to his mother. This really grossed out the viewers, who exclaimed their sympathy for the kid who had to live in such conditions. However, the bedroom was not the only place that was neglected, but her bathroom was in an equally worse condition, with clothes cluttered all around and no sense of cleanliness. Keeping in mind that this was the place where she relieved herself and took showers, all the clothes lying on the floor probably also collected all the germs and dirt, without ever being put away in a proper place. Aside from her mother helping her bathe, she changed clothes, ate meals, and handled most of her daily activities right there on the same bed, making the situation seem even more unhygienic. As expected, the main lounge was equally as dirty and as messy as any other room in the house, which really showed that the family did not really care about any cleanliness whatsoever. However, despite living in those conditions, Stephanie still showed no signs of slowing down her eating habits or making the changes she needed to improve her situation. Even on her way to Houston, Stephanie seemed more focused on stocking up on food than taking the opportunity to start making progress before arriving at Dr. Now's clinic.
Can I get the number 7 curly fries, the sourdough grilled chicken club sandwich, and an order of the 3 egg rolls? And can I get 2 of your overload cakes?
Thank you.
That's it.
No, that'll be all.
Alright, 4583, the 7 thank you.
Thank you.
This grossed out viewers, many of whom were shocked by the sheer amount of food she was consuming only a few hours into the trip. For people already concerned about her living conditions, seeing her continue these habits only made the episode harder to watch. I can't even imagine living like that. That is so gross. Someone needs to tell these people no. And when you stop, get 1 meal, not enough to feed a family just for yourself. It's insane. She needs 72 burgers to comfort her on the way to weight loss surgery? That's absurd. And while Stephanie's unhygienic living conditions eventually led to a totally failed weight loss journey, Gary Hawkins from Season 13, Episode 4 grossed out viewers for the cringy way he ate his massive meals. Unlike some of the other people featured on the show, Gary stood out for the dynamic he had with his mother. He relied on her for nearly everything, including preparing the large meals he expected to eat throughout the day.
After my caregiver leaves, my mom comes over to cook breakfast for me. That's when everything turns around.
Instead of encouraging him to take responsibility for his health, his mother continued catering to his demands, making sure that he had whatever food he wanted. Even after his weight had reached a dangerous level, she remained willing to do almost everything for him without pushing back.
What you want? What you want to eat?
Everything.
What's everything?
I don't know.
Eggs, bacon, grits, all that?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay. He will eat whatever you put in front of him. You know, he's constantly eating and he's just getting bigger and bigger. I'm just hoping that he can lose the weight so he can get up and walk, because I know he can't live that way. Okay, Gary, how many eggs you want?
4 eggs.
Okay, I'm gonna get started, so
Okay.
are you gonna sit up?
Yeah.
Okay. With his lifestyle being the way it is, it's very hard on me because I have to do everything for him.
But more than that, they were grossed out by how Gary consumed his food, with a weird chewing and smacking. The ginormous amount of food that he had consumed seemed to not fill him at all, so he ate serving after serving and continued to fill his giant stomach with an insane amount of food. In many ways, Gary had remained a mama's boy throughout his entire life, and that dynamic appeared unchanged even as an adult. His mother continued allowing him to get his way regardless of how unhealthy those choices were becoming.
She spoiled me. You know, she still spoils me to this day. My mother let me eat whatever I wanted as much as I wanted. By the time I was 10, I was pushing 200 pounds.
Not only had Gary been so far gone into his obesity that he was now using his stomach as a table, but to make it even worse was the fact that he chewed and bit the food disgustingly, with the food being smeared all over his face while he focused on inhaling everything in front of him.
You know, having all the support he's had throughout the years.
Pretty good, huh? The mac and cheese?
Mm-hmm. I'm 32 years old. I have a lot to offer. I got 4 or 5 years tops. I know this is my last chance, and I don't want to die in this bed.
At that point, viewers could already see where things were heading. The problem with this dude is that he had never been held accountable for anything, and his mom is one of his worst enemies. He said at the beginning of the episode that he was the baby of the family, and I think that's exactly the way his mom treats him. And while Gary did gross the viewers out with his disgusting eating visuals, it was nothing like that of Delina from Season 12, Episode 3, who had one of the dirtiest living conditions ever shown on My 600 Pound Life. Delina was living in a small, cramped house with her husband, and the condition of the home was so bad that it immediately stood out to viewers. The mattress appeared stained and grimy, and the entire space looked as though basic cleaning and upkeep had been neglected for a long time. The mattress they lay on had no sheets on them and looked cramped and dusty, and to make it even worse, the pillows they rested their heads on every day looked like they hadn't been washed in years, and had yellowed as a result of all the filth and grime. Even her mattress looked like it had been through hell and more, making it impossible to believe that she was ever clean when she lay on it. This grossed out the viewers to the point where they couldn't help saying, "I seriously don't understand how these people could get to the point of sleeping in their own feces and still continue to shovel mountains of food into their mouths." What's worse is how she used a very murky and filthy chair to roam around the whole house. But that chair was not only covered with dirt, it was also covered with shit stains and spots, showing extreme neglect and uncleanliness on her part. Even worse, right after taking a bath, she sat right on the same chair, basically undoing the little cleaning that she did. Even the bathroom she used was cluttered with piles of clothing, plastic bottles, and other items scattered throughout the room, making the space appear crowded, dirty, and difficult to maintain. Even the rug she had placed under the toilet looked as if it had been there for years without cleaning. Still, Delina had the nerve to say something that made it all even worse.
I typically do not bathe every day. I typically bathe every other day.
But the most concerning part was that several dogs were also living in the same environment. With so little space and so much clutter, many viewers felt the conditions were unhealthy not only for Delina and her husband, but for the animals as well, with people criticizing how unfair the situation seemed for the pets and questioning how long they'd been living in those conditions. Still, all Delina really cared about was whether there was food on the table and if she were able to eat it.
Whenever it's time to eat something yummy, I start to feel happy. It brings in the euphoria feeling because it takes me back to the happy part of my childhood.
Which was true since her house was just a den of pure neglect and filth. Not only did her living room look like it had been unwashed since ages, but it was also cluttered with things and items of all sorts, making it extremely displeasing to look at. Her husband too stayed in this house without ever helping around, and they'd become accustomed to sitting in the filth like it was nothing of their concern. Both of them focused more on eating than thinking about cleaning their own filthy house, all while they kept discarding the waste within all the clutter. Because of this, there was a random assortment of everything present inside their living room, showing just how much they had really neglected it all. To make things even worse, her kitchen was all in a similar condition, with her washed cutlery placed in the same area as her dustbin, with garbage looking like it hadn't been dumped out in a long while. On top of it, her dog's food was also placed just below the garbage can, cementing the fact that they were clearly living in the grossest living environment imaginable and were presenting the same for their dogs. In a comment posted after the episode aired, her daughter revealed additional details about what it was like living in the home. According to her, the conditions had become so unpleasant that she eventually decided that she could no longer stay there, explaining that house was not safe for a pregnant woman, let alone a newborn. The dogs weren't potty trained and she didn't clean up after them, and smoked inside the house like a chimney. The final straw was her saying that she loved the dogs more than she loved me during the heat of an argument. Between the cluttered living conditions, the concerns about cleanliness, and Delina's refusal to acknowledge her role in her lack of progress, many viewers found the episode extremely difficult to watch from beginning to end. Similar to Irene Walker from Season 9, Episode 11, whose episode grossed out viewers not because of her surroundings, but because of her nauseating way of consuming food the entire day with literally no breaks. Like many of the other people featured on the show, Irene was living in a neglected and cluttered environment and relied heavily on her family members to provide her with food and take care of her daily needs. To make matters worse, this routine had become her entire lifestyle. Most of her day revolved around sitting in one place while expecting family members to bring her meals and attend to her needs.
I'm glad she gone. Whenever I have something to eat, I will not stop until I eaten it all. When I'm done eating, then like an hour later, I ask somebody to come give me some more food because I never want the feelings that food gives me to stop. So I just sit and eat for the rest of the day.
The way she consumed her food immediately stood out to viewers. Not only did it appear rushed, excessive, and outright nasty, but it also highlighted how food seemed to have become the central focus of her daily life, taking priority over her health and any effort to improve her situation. People were particularly grossed out by her eating habits and commented, "That lady is not even taking the time to chew her food. She's just swallowing. This is crazy." If you're thinking of overeating, just watch this video. You'll definitely throw away whatever food you have on your plate. As soon as she finished one meal, another family member appeared with even more food, creating what looked like a constant cycle of eating throughout the day.
Hey, Amy.
Hey, girl, hey.
I bought the food.
Oh, thank you, girl. Thankfully, my 3 youngest are with family, but I want to get them back. And that's not going to happen unless I get all the weight off me. But I have to break my food addiction to do that, and I don't know how to.
Even then, Irene never seemed satisfied. She continued eating with the same urgency meal after meal, which only reinforced how dependent she had become on food. For many viewers, this unhealthy routine was one of the most unpleasant aspects of the episode.
I push myself to finish off the food that I have to make sure it's all gone so no one will get it. So once I have what I want, I'm going to eat it all no matter what. And I've never been able to change that, you know? It's good. I did try a diet in the past, like eating salads and fruits.
As expected, her weight was far higher than she believed it would be, and Dr. Now quickly got the impression that excuses would become a recurring theme throughout her journey.
I need to go on a diet, and I just want to lose weight because it's hard for me to move around, and my bladder is weak because of the weight, and I have a lot of back pains, if that makes sense, because I'm overweight.
All right. Well, none of that helped me understand ways you tried to control your eating habits before. So I'm guessing the answer is you haven't really done anything up to this point.
That same lack of seriousness continued when Dr. Now asked how she planned to approach the dietary changes required by the program. Rather than showing a clear plan, Irene struggled to convince him that she was fully committed.
You get your own food or somebody bring it to you?
Both.
So who bring it to you?
Her.
Is she your enabler?
Oh man, that's what I didn't want. I do not enable her.
So what kind of food do you bring for her?
What I eat, she eat. If she want to eat it, I cook healthy. I try to deposit goodness and healthiness into her if she'll accept it.
All right. Okay. Well, she clearly has a negative support system that enables her, and that's what has to stop, and she needs help to change.
But viewers' point of view on Irene was pretty solidified at this point, as they said, "This woman's behavior is so manipulative. She doesn't care who stops by, as long as they bring her food." Just as Dr. Now anticipated, Irene barely made a dent in the weight loss goal he had set for her. But instead of accountability, Irene arrived prepared with a list of explanations for why she'd fallen short, instead of taking responsibility for the result.
Doesn't look like you made much of a change over the last 2 months. So why is that?
I think I was doing better, but it's been hard, Dr. Now. I'm not gonna lie, it's been hard. Eating only on this diet seems like I'm not eating nothing at times, if that makes sense. But I'm trying to do better. It's a process with me.
Losing 5 pounds means you haven't tried that hard.
Things became even more frustrating when she openly admitted that she would cheat on her diet whenever her trainer left the house. Rather than trying to hide it, she acknowledged the behavior while still hoping to continue moving forward in the program.
Why do you think Irene lost only 5 pounds if you're helping her?
I've tried to push Irene to change her eating habits and to exercise, but it's been hard. And our biggest problem is that I can't be with her 24 hours of the day. So I don't know what she eats when I'm not around.
Do you eat any junk food after she leaves?
There are times that I need to eat more and I may not have made the best choices.
Even after an ultimatum from Dr. Now, when she returned home and insisted that she was finally making an effort, viewers noticed that her refrigerator still contained plenty of fried foods and boxed fast food items, suggesting that old habits had not disappeared, and those habits eventually showed up on the scale during her next weigh-in. Once again, Irene arrived with another set of excuses instead of answers, making the situation increasingly frustrating for both Dr. Now and the viewers watching at home.
I guess it's just hard. That's it. Because I'm trying to stick to it all. I keep pushing myself, but it's just not enough. You know I can see that, and I know I have to do better.
Well, that's what you said last time. And you only improved 2 pounds. So at this rate, it may take you years to get to your target weight. And you won't survive long enough to do that. So what's gonna take to wake you up and get you to realize how serious your situation is?
However, even Irene's constant excuses were mild compared to LaShonta White from Season 7, Episode 16, whose episode grossed out viewers because of several habits they found particularly unpleasant. The first thing that stood out about LaShonta was just how dependent she'd become on her boyfriend for nearly every aspect of daily life. From helping her clean herself to assisting her with even small movements, she relied on him constantly because she could no longer move around independently.
Because I'm living in constant misery now. My weight has gotten so out of control. It's taken almost everything from me. And with all this weight on me, my whole body feels like it's constantly crushed. The pain is unbearable.
Not only was he clearly exhausted by the routine, but many viewers were shocked by some of the living conditions that came along with it. Because of her limited mobility, LaShonta had developed the habit of urinating near her bed rather than making it to a bathroom, making the whole situation feel even more unsanitary and disgusting. Viewers were particularly disturbed by how dependent she had become on others for even the most basic personal tasks.
And once JT bring me my water and my soap, I try and clean myself.
What made the situation even harder to watch was that many of her daily activities took place on the same bed. Whether she was cleaning herself, changing clothes, or trying to freshen up, everything happened in one small space because of her severe immobility. As a result, the bed had effectively become the center of her entire life, with soap from her body and everything splattered on it, something many viewers found uncomfortable to watch given the condition it was being used in.
And then lift myself to try to clean all the areas I need. And it gets to be too much. And so I even have to have help with that. Come on, get my bag.
And after turning her bedroom into a bathroom, she now brought all the ingredients to cook and serve her family.
Food is the only joy and pleasure I have now. It's the only thing I really have to look forward to anymore. Sometimes I'm tired of my life. But then I think about food, and then I get excited again.
The sight of everything happening had viewers revolting, with comments like, "She never wears pants, so that breeze is just wafting up in there, smelling like the plague. Ugh, pure evil. How is she using the washroom and she hasn't been cleaning or washing that either? That's just rough and sad." As expected, the people closest to her, especially her mother, were deeply concerned by the way she was living and repeatedly tried to convince her that her food addiction was destroying her life.
When you lose weight,
here it comes.
Because you can get up and do the things that you need to do, you know?
Here it comes.
cook, wash, go to the
I
store.
still can cook. All I need somebody to be my leg work.
Ain't not like your leg when you can get up and do for yourself and get around.
You right.
That's the most important thing in the whole wide world. You got faith, don't you?
Yep.
But LaShanta almost always had an excuse ready whenever the topic of her eating habits came up, making it difficult for those around her to get through to her.
I know my mom's afraid of what's gonna happen to me. But when she talks to me about it, it's frustrating and it makes me emotional. And then I feel like I need it even more. I could be upset and I eat my food and it'll soothe my pain.
Her attitude frustrated viewers just as much as her living conditions did. Many felt that she was refusing to take responsibility for her situation and was more focused on her gross habits. There's no way I'd eat food made in a bed where someone pisses. And while LaShanta's lifestyle made the viewers extremely disturbed and disgusted, Samantha Mason from Season 9, Episode 1 grossed out viewers because of her terrible eating habits. She was one of the heaviest patients ever featured on the show, regularly consuming enormous amounts of food using her massive stomach as a table, despite already being in a life-threatening condition.
More than anything else, it's the feeling of being full that I love. Food is just so good to me. Food can fill me up and make me feel the most comfort that I've ever felt. It makes me feel like I'm at home and that I'm safe.
This led to viewers being grossed out by her habits. Samantha had become so dependent on food that it was no longer just something she ate when she was hungry. Just after she was done with her massive McDonald's meal, she decided to treat herself to dessert, and the way she drank her milkshake was by spilling it all over her. It was pretty hard to see.
Over the next few years, I gained a lot, and my weight hit over 600 pounds by the time I was 23 or 24. So I decided to move back home, and I got Bella back from my mom and got a job in social services. And I hated the job, but it paid the bills.
If consuming all that food wasn't enough, Samantha decided to take it one extra mile by trying to make this her source of income by making mukbang videos online. She consumed a full carrot cake in one sitting, and this was all after she had already consumed 2 giant meals, which showed how much she really pushed her body towards the edge every day.
Thank you for requesting this.
It had become her source of comfort, entertainment, stress relief, and emotional support, making it nearly impossible for her to separate her feelings from her eating habits. But aside from eating herself into a dangerous state, Samantha was also dealing with personal and emotional struggles that fueled her emotional eating and made her situation even more complicated.
If I don't change, I know I'm gonna die.
One of the most shocking moments came when Samantha had to call emergency services simply to be moved down the stairs from her daughter's apartment. The incident highlighted just how severe her mobility issues had become and how completely her weight had taken over her life. As expected, she was admitted to the hospital following the ordeal, but even there, her relationship with food remained a major problem.
They haven't felt like it's been safe to send me home. Doctor now wants them to put me on a controlled diet here, but it turns out they don't really do that. Or at least not how Dr. Now wants. He's been checking in on me and some of my treatments, and I have a video call with him today. I do have some calorie restrictions here trying to help me.
Because of this, even while bedbound and facing serious health risks, Samantha remained unwilling to significantly reduce her food intake or accept the restrictions needed to improve her condition.
I just want a breakfast burrito, the half order of hash browns with ketchup, banana, 4 bowls of watermelon in one big bowl, and then another one of those.
Another one of what?
So 4 bowls of watermelon in one big bowl, times 2.
Okay, so 2 orders for that.
Yep. 2 cups of coffee.
Okay.
And 6 vanilla coffee creamers.
Okay, so I'm going over sodium and the calories that you're allowed per meal.
The result was alarming. During her hospital stay alone, she gained more than 140 pounds, showing just how little control she had over her eating habits, even while under medical supervision. What many viewers found especially disturbing was what happened after she finally returned home following months in the hospital. Rather than focusing on her health, her first instinct revealed that food was still her top priority.
I would like chicken strips, 4 orders of street corn, just house barbecue flavor ribs, mushroom Swiss burger, fries, strawberry lemonade, and then a molten chocolate lava cake. What are you guys gonna have?
Her explanation only reinforced that concern. Samantha spoke in a way that suggested she had almost accepted the possibility of dying and was more focused on devouring food than changing the habits threatening her life.
The positive thing is that I'm able to order anything that I need or want, or like, it's comforting to me. So, I've been following the diet. Sometimes it's just like, why bother? If food makes me happy and I'm gonna die anyways, why don't I just make myself happy?
With her being extremely obese and barely able to walk, Holly was already dealing with constant physical pain and serious mobility issues, making even the simplest daily activities difficult. However, what made Holly's situation even harder to watch was that in addition to needing her partner's help with basic hygiene because of her limited mobility, she was no longer able to properly care for herself without assistance. And the environment around her wasn't helping either. Holly was living in a cluttered space filled with mess and disorganization, making the overall situation appear even more unhealthy and unpleasant. The condition of her living space quickly caught viewers' attention, with many feeling that both her surroundings and daily habits reflected how much control she had lost over her situation. Wow, she needs to clean her room during the day and not eat all day. But despite the condition of her home, Holly remained focused on food and continued struggling with the eating habits that had contributed to her declining health.
Can we get a chicken basket with gravy and 2 soft pretzel sticks with queso?
And an order of onion rings.
And an order of onion rings?
Okay.
On top of all of that, there was also another detail that many viewers immediately noticed and found difficult to ignore: the way Holly ate.
I think this one has yours in it, and I'll get started with this. Eating is the only pleasure I have left in my life. And without it, I have nothing. I love the way it makes me feel, and the happiness I feel with every bite. But the moment my meal is over, and I've eaten everything I have,
Her heavy breathing, tongue movement, chewing, and mannerisms while eating became a major talking point among viewers and drew almost as much attention as her living conditions. Her sticking her tongue out every time she's about to take a bite triggers me so bad. I hate it when they eat and their tongue goes out first to secure the bit. But Holly paid little attention to those concerns. Throughout the episode, food continued to be her primary focus. The viewers felt that the urge to eat often seemed stronger than her desire to improve her health. However, just as viewers became focused on her eating habits, attention shifted back to the state of her living environment when more of her room was shown on screen. The clutter and mess remained impossible to ignore. What made the situation even more concerning was the presence of a pet dog living in the same crowded, messy space. Viewers noticed the condition of the room and questioned how healthy the environment was for both the people and the animals sharing it. And the repeated tongue scenes were only making her episode a whole lot harder to watch.
Have fun. Don't do anything too crazy.
oh, I won't.
I hate that I've let this become my life and that it's only getting worse. But I don't need everyone nagging me about it. And I'm frustrated they reached out to my mom this time. I feel like they crossed the line.
Combined with the lack of cleanliness, the clutter, and the gross habits on display throughout the episode, Holly's story became one of the more unpleasant and difficult to watch episodes featured on the show. However, she wasn't the only person trapped in a destructive cycle. Sean Milliken from Season 4, Episode 11 also grossed out viewers for a different reason, as his habit of secretly obtaining and consuming junk food throughout his journey eventually led to a shocking outcome. His connection with food had pushed him into a state of extreme morbid obesity, but it was also his laziness and his lack of movement which had made him rely on this mode of lifestyle, with all the clutter being all around him. To make it worse, Sean also sat on his bed while peeing, the bed being the sole place where he sat, shat, and even ate. Aside from being completely reliant on his mother, even for basic tasks like cleaning himself, Sean had also developed several extremely painful sores on his body as a result of not taking care of his hygiene. To make matters worse, his skin was breaking out and tearing apart because of his ginormous portions of food and his inability to stop himself from inhaling anything and everything that came his way. But Sean cared little about how much worse off he really was, and instead focused on food more than anything. This led to him ordering way more than he should be eating, leading to even more complications and overeating.
Hey Mom, I'm probably going to need a little snack.
Sean has no appetite control. He's hungry incessantly. What do you want?
Just a couple burgers and soda. Maybe medium fry. Oh, could you give me one of those caramel sundaes?
Sure, no problem.
This addiction only worsened when he started loading more and more stuff only a few minutes into the episode, showing how far gone his appetite really was. This excessive eating and poor hygiene had also caused Sean's teeth to grow out of proportion and darken into this murky yellow color, which grossed out the viewers even more. On top of that, his foot had swelled to the size of an elephant because of his frequent weight gain and body complications. And they talked about how his horrible teeth and deformed foot showed that he just wasn't normal. But what many viewers found even more disturbing was the role his mother played in this situation. Rather than helping him stick to a healthier routine, she frequently enabled his behavior and made it easier for him to continue relying on junk food.
The reality is, Sean must be taking in at least 20 to 30,000 calories a day. And that is because his mother bringing it to him. You're killing him right now.
This unhealthy dynamic was also noticed by viewers who were quick to criticize it, saying, "This level of enabling should be illegal. If she had underfed him to death, she'd be in prison. I don't see how this is any different." However, the grossest part of the episode was when Sean proved how dependent he still was on his mother and how little control he had over his own situation when he soiled himself on the hospital chair.
Oh no. What?
Sean is used to his mother completely taking care of him.
His mother not only had to wipe him clean, but also take care of all the mess he had created while sitting in the hospital chair.
As long as she does everything for him, Sean has no reason to leave. And she controls him with the food.
While Sean and his gross eating habits almost got the best of him, Lacey Hodder from Season 7, Episode 6 grossed out viewers for a different reason. She was living in an extremely cluttered house that showed signs of serious neglect, while her own health had also deteriorated to the point where even basic daily activities had become difficult. Her room was already in rough shape, with clutter covering nearly every surface, including the bed where she'd spent most of her days sleeping and sitting. Not only that, but her condition was so far gone that she covered more than half of the bed and looked as if she was suffocating while lying down because of the pile of fat on her body. And it didn't stop there. The floor was buried under piles of clothes, both used and unused, making the entire space look completely neglected. Because of her excessive eating habits, Lacey's body had grown out of proportion, so much so that she started to look like a huge blob of fat instead of muscles and bones. But the one thing that really messed her up was her lack of self-care and her inability to be able to clean herself properly, because of which she struggled every day.
And every day it's getting worse, to the point where I'm scared now. My legs could give out. And I'm terrified of that because I live alone.
Her dependence on others was a result of her neglecting her body to the point of no return, where her body had transformed into a huge mess, which she alone was not able to cope with.
So I don't have anyone here to help me. So if that ever happens, my fear is that unless my mom or my friends happen to come over to check on me in time.
However, the grossest part of her episode was the way she was seen washing her body while she tried to put on the shower head into every nook and cranny of her stomach. Not only that, but her shower went too much into TMI territory that made the viewers even more uncomfortable, adding to the fact that she only washed it with water and no other product to take the dirt off. Making it more disgusting was the fact that her house had clutter all around, and she went over her dresses in her drenched body without even drying herself properly, making the whole floor wet and dirty with her shower water, until she eventually settled on her couch, still all drenched in water. She was also extremely careless when it came to food, regularly indulging in large amounts of junk food without showing much concern for how it was affecting her health or weight.
And after I finish my breakfast and there's nothing left, I finally let myself get something sweet. And that's what I've really been waiting for. Anything with sugar, especially chocolate, is my biggest weakness.
However, while Lacey's disgusting habits put her at the forefront of disgusting 600-pound patients, it still could not compare to Angela Johns from Season 7, Episode 19, whose behavior and treatment of people around her made her one of the most criticized participants ever featured on the show. But more than anything else, Angela's behavior toward her daughter Desiree became one of the most uncomfortable parts of the episode. Throughout her life, Desiree often found herself dealing with the consequences of Angela's need to have things done her way, which strained the relationship.
Food is the only thing that helps me deal with the misery of my life. And I constantly need it because I constantly need to escape. So we have to keep a lot of food in the house at all times. And I have to have what I want.
Are you done, babe?
So if we ever run out of anything, then Desiree needs to go to the store because I can't do it for myself.
What made the situation even sadder was that Desiree had already missed out on much of the support and stability she should have received from her mother because Angela had spent time incarcerated during her childhood.
I became pregnant with my daughter, Desiree, at 17. James became abusive when we found out I was pregnant with Desiree. When Desiree was just a newborn, we were evicted. We needed a place to go, and my dad took us in. And that's when I reunited with my dad. At 18, I weighed 340 pounds, and I went to jail for complicity to burglary. I was sentenced 2 years. I only went for 8 months. But while I was in jail, my husband, James, was incarcerated with a 10-year sentence. Desi went to my dad when I went to prison. So when I got out, I didn't have a place to live, so I lived with them.
Unfortunately, that was far from the last issue in Angela's story.
I became addicted to drugs for about 10 years. And the next few years were a bit of a blur. And then when I was 32 years old, I injured my knee, and it was the worst thing and the best thing that happened in my life.
Even after everything Desiree had already been through, Angela still expected her daughter to put her own life aside whenever she needed help, despite Desiree now having a family and responsibilities of her own.
So I need to know if you're on board with going to Houston, because your boyfriend is giving me about it.
What'd he do?
So I think that he's mad from the other day when there was a conversation that if I was to look for a doctor in another area, he insinuated he didn't even want to come to Houston so I can get the help I need. So all I said was, how about get a life? And he jumps up, runs his mouth, comes out, says I'm a You think that's normal?
Many viewers found it especially selfish that Angela wanted Desiree to prioritize her over her own relationship. She openly pushed for her daughter to leave her boyfriend behind and focus entirely on taking care of Angela instead.
He said, we're all doing this for you.
And we're all doing this for you, Angela. So he's not gonna be living here.
So you want me to leave my boyfriend, move to Texas, and be okay with that?
Oh, here we go. Dramas.
Right, I mean, how am I being
But your
dramatic?
boyfriend's not gonna be dramatic and call me a
That, and I haven't even got time to address anything.
Even when Desiree tried explaining how difficult the situation was for her, Angela largely dismissed those concerns and showed little interest in understanding her daughter's perspective.
Time a little thing is said around here, your dramatic boyfriend gets escalated to up here.
So then
This
I'm
little
in
words.
I'm in the position to pick between my
That shouldn't be
mother or my boyfriend and my child.
No, your child would still be here without your boyfriend, just like the other one was.
That's not right.
Well, you do whatever you want to
Especially when
do.
you know that I'm gonna pick you.
Okay. It's never about me. It's never been about me.
Instead, viewers felt that Angela relied heavily on guilt and emotional pressure until Desiree finally agreed to accompany her to Houston.
I can't believe this is happening. For me to have to convince my daughter to do this to save her mother's life just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm really hurt by that. Because if I don't find a way to be able to do this, then the only option I have left is to give up and just wait to die.
By that point, Desiree appeared emotionally drained and ultimately gave in after repeated pressure from her mother.
Dude, I cannot physically do this. I cannot mentally do this. I really can't. If that's what you want to do, then go ahead, dude. I am not telling you to leave. Get out of my face.
I'm real upset at Desiree and her boyfriend Will and my whole situation.
The incident gave viewers a clearer picture of Angela's personality, but the conflicts did not stop there. Throughout the episode, she repeatedly clashed with the people around her, including her husband, over relatively minor issues.
I guess I'm seeing maybe this isn't something he really wants to do, because he's had an attitude since we left the house. He probably really doesn't even want to be doing this trip, but he holds it in and then it all comes out over something stupid like a store trip. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it.
Knew what was gonna happen though?
You're pathetic.
Because I don't want to drive to a store that I don't, I'm in that city I don't know about. You want me to drive around to stores, but that's pathetic because I don't want to get lost.
Loser. You shouldn't even be around me anyways. That's all you are, is a loser. Freaking put on a show for people.
Yeah,
you're
I'm
fake as
in my mouth. No, you are.
No, you're a fake piece of
Because I don't want to go to a store that I don't know about.
Whatever. I don't know where you're going, but you're getting up out of this room.
This room's in my name.
That'll be changed real quick, guy.
Despite all of the drama, Dr. Now decided to give Angela another opportunity and instructed her to follow the diet closely if she truly wanted to qualify for surgery. But as many viewers expected, Angela quickly slipped back into old habits. Rather than focusing on the program, she continued using her emotions and personal struggles as reasons to keep overeating while ignoring the sacrifices her family was making for her.
Everything's on my shoulders. And moving to Houston's been difficult or challenging. Finding a place there is not that easy from here. And Desiree's due date is in a couple months. And that's just another thing. That's making figuring out any plans to do this even harder.
Because of the constant excuses and the lack of accountability, it became increasingly clear that Angela was unlikely to meet her target weight loss goal. Dr. Now was disappointed by the lack of progress and reminded her that she had been given a specific goal for a reason.
It looked like you almost lost 50 pounds, huh?
Yes.
All right, that's a little progress, but you're supposed to lose 100 pounds in 2 months, and on top of that, it's been 5 months since you were here. So at this point, you haven't shown me you're taking this seriously as you need. And I'm not approving you for anything today, but since you lost 50 pounds, we give you another chance to stick with your diet and try to lose another 50 pounds.
However, there was another issue that caught Dr. Now's attention, and when he tried discussing it with Angela, she immediately denied it.
You don't sound normal. Are you taking any new medication or anything else I should know about?
Am I taking medicine?
Yeah, are you taking any drugs or anything?
No.
Okay. Well, something is going on with you.
Rather than listening to his concerns, Angela attempted to argue her way out of responsibility by insisting that the weight loss goal itself was unrealistic.
You need to be more proactive and you need to follow a better diet before we bring you to Houston, okay?
Okay, well,
It's going to be important.
My U-Haul is leaving tomorrow. And let me remind you, because maybe you forgot, your weight loss was 50 pounds in 1 month, not 100 pounds. Ever did you say that to me?
I definitely did. On my call with you 2 months ago, that was the goal I gave you. So either you forgot or you're too high on something to remember. But it's going on 6 months since we saw you. And this level of weight loss is unacceptable over that time.
Throughout the conversation, she appeared convinced that she was making progress despite the evidence suggesting otherwise, which only added to the frustration.
Well, if you expected me to lose 50 pounds every month for 6 months, I wouldn't need you.
What you seem to need is a calculator. Because losing 50 pounds a month for 6 months would have been weight loss goal of 300 pounds. And that's not what I asked you to do. But I did give you a goal of 100 pounds in 2 months, since you wasted the first 3 months, and you didn't even do that.
And when Dr. Now urged her to take the situation more seriously, she responded with yet another excuse while continuing to insist that she was not the problem.
If you're expecting me to come there and sit around and wait for surgery for another month, I'm not coming. I don't have time for that.
Heaven forbid we waste any of your time while you waste ours with your lies and games.
By the end of her journey, Angela had become one of the more heavily criticized participants on the show. Between the manipulation, constant excuses, and the way she treated the people around her, many viewers found her episode frustrating from start to finish. But even Angela's behavior could not top Penny Seeger from Season 2, Episode 3, whose episode combined an unwillingness to take responsibility with some of the most unpleasant and unsanitary habits ever shown on My 600-Pound Life. At her size, Penny took very little responsibility for her own hygiene, leaving her husband to handle nearly everything for her, including cleaning her and scrubbing away feces when necessary. Not only had Penny accepted this way of living, but she had also convinced herself that her situation was not the result of her own choices, refusing to acknowledge any responsibility for how severe her condition had become.
This is my bathroom. This is my dinner table. I don't feel good. I might as well be a prisoner in jail.
Or even the consequences of her lack of discipline, which became apparent almost immediately after making that statement.
It's gonna be good. Food addiction has become my life. Hey, Ed, I need a paper towel. I started out just like anyone else, and every time I had a problem, it's £1, £2, £5, and I just kept going.
This pattern had followed Penny for much of her life. By the age of just 22, she had already reached more than 300 pounds because of years of unhealthy habits. What made her situation even more shocking was that she had since doubled that weight while becoming significantly less active, leaving her almost completely dependent on others for daily living.
My weight is very near 600 at this time. Oh my goodness.
But one of the grossest details of Penny's episode was her habit of eating and preparing food in the exact same place where she spent nearly all of her time bathing and relieving herself. Viewers watched her being cleaned, cared for, and fed on the same bed, which many found extremely unsanitary. That lack of mobility also affected her relationship with her son Liam. Much of the interaction she had with him depended on whether he came to her, rather than her being able to actively participate in his life.
I help take care of my son, but it's here. If he refused to come into my bubble, then I wouldn't be able to help him.
Her comments about the relationship frustrated viewers, many of whom felt Liam was missing out on the attention and involvement he deserved from a parent. All these children deserve a parent, but not all parents deserve children in its purest form. Poor boy. Throughout all of this, her husband Edward remained incredibly patient. He had essentially become a full-time caregiver, even giving up his regular work routine to stay home and take care of her needs throughout the day.
It's been many years now since we've actually slept in the same bed.
Right there is hurts.
Right now, I'm her full-time caregiver, so I can't go out and earn money. We're just living on her disability.
We need all 3 cereals. We're all out.
But Penny seemed largely unaffected by the burden that was placed on him, having become accustomed to receiving constant care and assistance without contributing much herself, which also extended to her use of supplemental oxygen. Despite her oxygen levels appearing normal, she continued relying on it heavily, leading many viewers to feel that she often exaggerated how helpless she truly was.
Can we turn the oxygen off?
I'm on oxygen 24 hours a day.
But if your oxygen saturation is better than mine, why do you need to have oxygen?
I don't know the technical reason, but at 20 minutes, my fingers and lips get blue.
Seeing all of this, many viewers believe that Penny's biggest obstacle was not her weight, but a refusal to take responsibility for changing her situation. She was one of the worst ones. It is so frustrating that they don't take responsibility for the weight gain. The fact that so many daily activities happened in one small space made the living conditions even harder to watch, and helped make her episode one of the more unpleasant entries in the series. However, while Penny's behavior mainly affected herself and her immediate family, Zolan's episode was gross because of a whole nother reason. Rather than focusing on filthy living conditions or poor hygiene, viewers were disturbed by the strange dynamic between Zolan and her husband, Gareth, whose obsession with her size seemed to actively work against her attempts to get healthier.
That's when I met my husband.
She looked so big and comfy and soft and squishy. You know, I like big women, and she was their queen at the time.
Zolan certainly had her own issues. She openly admitted that her addiction to sweets had fueled years of overeating and contributed heavily to her weight gain.
It's so sugary, sweet, and delicious. I just want to make love to them with my mouth. Exactly. It's like a sexual thing for me, obviously.
Dr. Now explained that if she wanted to change her life, she would need to stop making excuses and commit fully to the program.
Jolly need to lose weight, but I'm concerned. She think surgery is a quick fix. I need to make sure she understands what it's going to take for her to get ready for surgery.
To her credit, Zalin eventually made enough progress to qualify for surgery, but the real problem in her story was someone waiting for her at home. One of the most uncomfortable moments of the episode came when Gareth openly admitted that he preferred Zalin at a heavier weight and was not enthusiastic about her losing weight.
Yesterday morning, I told Gareth that surgery was on Wednesday. He's been telling me he's behind me with this surgery, but I don't think he actually thought I was going to go through with it. Pajamas? Check. He says, I married you 10 years ago when you were a happy fat girl, and I was happy to marry a happy fat girl. If you'd have told me 10 years ago I was marrying an unhappy fat girl, then maybe I wouldn't have married you.
For viewers, this was one of the strangest dynamics ever shown on the series. While Zalin was trying to save her own life, her husband seemed more concerned about preserving the body type he was attracted to.
He wants a fat wife. He wants what he's physically attracted to. That's what he wants. He has a physical preference for his sexual needs that requires me to be bigger than, just fat. I realized I've been telling myself a lie, and that lie was killing me. Big can't be beautiful when it means my daughter may not have a mother.
Things became even more unsettling after surgery when Gareth immediately began questioning her changes and making excuses for why she should not be taking the diet so seriously.
I'm not looking to do no dieting, mind. I mean, I'll be considered around you eating, but I'm not looking to do no dieting.
Instead of supporting her recovery, Gareth went to disgusting lengths by trying to sabotage her progress through the same unhealthy habits she was trying to leave behind, making viewers question whether he actually wanted her to succeed at all.
Oh yeah, I smell bacon. Bacon makes everything right. Yeah, number 5, medium with a Diet Coke. I'll watch my weight. Don't be tempted now.
I'm not even a little bit tempted.
Eating my food. You want chip?
If he's going to go ahead and try and tempt me like this, it's hurtful. It's a little bit nauseating, to be honest.
Oh, my burger.
I think I married a jerk, but I think he doesn't know any other way.
The constant pressure eventually started affecting Zalin emotionally and created tension throughout the relationship. Unfortunately, that stress contributed to her slipping back into old habits and making poor food choices again.
Every once in a while, I do still indulge. May I get a large Diet Dr. Pepper, please?
Okay, you want a large fry and a large Dr. Pepper?
No fry. Well, you're not supposed to drink carbonation, but... Tastes like liquid gold. And now it's gonna hurt for a minute because all the air is in my little stomach. I have to break Dr. Now's rules in order to make this diet really successful.
By her next appointment, the consequences had become obvious when she failed to lose weight as expected. Dr. Now confronted her about the lack of progress, but by this point, viewers felt that Gareth's bizarre fixation on her remaining overweight had become one of the biggest obstacles in her journey.
How many times are you eating?
3, sometimes 2 times a day. No snacking.
What are you drinking?
Water. Maybe I have a Diet Coke.
Diet Coke?
Once a week, maybe.
Diet Coke is not recommended after bypass surgery.
I know, it's not something that I normally do, right? What do I normally get when we go somewhere?
Water.
Water or tea. Yeah.
She's cheating, and she's drinking carbonated drink that will stretch her stomach to a larger size. If she doesn't stay on track, it's going to be harder for her, and she may start gaining weight.
However, while Zalin and Gareth's relationship created one of the show's most disturbing dynamics, the next couple's struggles were far more physical. Then we have Betty Jo Elmore, who appeared in Season 3, Episode 4 and weighed 655 pounds when cameras first arrived at her home. From the very first scene, it was clear that her situation had gone far beyond than just a weight problem. The physical state of her daily life, the bed she spent most of her time in, the conditions she ate and slept in, and the dynamic she had built with her husband, Josh, all came together to create one of the more deeply uncomfortable episodes the show has produced.
Being this size is miserable. I am always in pain. My weight is killing me. husband, Josh, has to help me take a shower and wipe my butt when I use the bathroom. It's humiliating.
Josh was her full-time caregiver, and from the outside, that might have looked like devotion. But viewers did not take long to figure out that something was deeply wrong with the arrangement. Josh wasn't just helping her, he was feeding the problem, literally and intentionally, because he openly admitted on camera that he wanted her to stay overweight.
I know I do bring a lot of this food into the house. The fast food, the chips, the soda is keeping Betty Jo the way she is. I know I'm helping kill her. You can just see her life fading. I don't want her to die on me. But my biggest fear is if she loses this weight, that she's not gonna need me no more.
One fan found Betty's husband utterly annoying, saying this: "Her husband opens his mouth and my skin crawls. He needs to mature badly." While some formed theories as to why he was trying to keep her overweight, with one saying, "Her husband didn't want her to lose weight because then she could get a script and they can't be on disability." That admission reframed everything the viewer had already seen. Every meal he brought her, every time he cleaned up after her, every moment of care he provided, it all looked different once his real motivation was on the table. He was keeping her trapped.
But my biggest fear is actually her dropping the weight and leaving me.
The hygiene side of Betty Jo's situation was handled entirely by Josh, and the show made no effort to skip over what that involved. At 655 pounds, she needed help with bathing, cleaning her skin folds, and managing the basic physical tasks that her size had made impossible to do alone. And the full picture of what her daily life looked like was clear enough. The bed she lived on and the bathroom she bathed in bore the evidence of someone who had been confined to it for a long time, carrying the smell and the residue of everything that had happened in it. But the bed was only one part of the picture.
It makes me feel so guilty.
I have taken on a lot for Betty Jo and do everything I can. Everything. It's hard.
My marriage with Josh is really difficult for us because of my weight. It prevents me from having a real marriage because he has to be my caretaker. And our intimacy is slim to none. Me and Josh has been together for so long that sometimes I think, am I with him because I love him? Or am I with him because he's the one person that takes care of me?
The rest of the home reflected that same level of neglect. Cluttered surfaces, an unflushed toilet, barely any clear floor space, and a general atmosphere of a house that had stopped being maintained a long time ago. When she finally reached out to Dr. Now and eventually qualified for gastric bypass surgery, it felt like a turning point. But the surgery immediately put strain on the relationship because a thinner, more mobile Betty Jo was not what Josh had signed up for. His resistance to her progress was barely disguised, and it pushed her off her diet at the worst possible time.
It was my first night after surgery. Josh promised he was sick. He wasn't here at all for me last night. Oh. It makes me a little scared because I need Josh more than ever. If it was him, I wouldn't leave his side at all. We have to be a team, and I have to be able to rely on him. And it hurts that he's not here. If I don't have his support, I don't think I'll be able to do this.
You hungry yet?
Very much so. I'm overwhelmed. I've been home for a month, and it hasn't been as easy as I'd hoped. What are you doing?
Cooking. What do you think I'm doing?
You can make some green beans.
With hamburger helper.
Yeah.
I just think that's kind of weird. Some green beans with stroganoff hamburger helper. That even sounds weird.
Really?
Really what?
Joshua! Josh is the one that's pretty much preparing meals. He doesn't necessarily want to follow the doctor's diet. Josh is depressed, and I don't know why.
She showed up to a follow-up appointment having lost nothing, and Dr. Now responded by sending both of them to therapy.
So you haven't lost any weight. What's going on with that? You need to be straightforward about your eating habit outside of hospital.
My eating habit is good. I mainly eat like Raisin Bran.
Well, that is a high-calorie food. What do you mean Raisin Bran?
How am I supposed to do that when my husband doesn't want to do it with me? Like, he wants to eat all of the junk, and that's all he wants to buy and get. And I'm not getting no support from him at all. I can't do this without somebody to help me say no.
I want Betty Jo to go see a therapist next month to try to address some of these big issues that are driving her to eat. We don't have a lot of time before it's going to be too late for Betty Jo.
And somehow that worked. By the end of her episode, Betty Jo had lost 157 pounds, bringing her down to 498 pounds, and that was real progress. But the reason most viewers remember her episode is the husband who actively worked against it, and the disturbing reality of a woman whose caregiver was also her biggest obstacle. One viewer said this about their overall dynamic. "Josh is most certainly a feeder. There's no way that's not what's going on here." But as uncomfortable as Betty Jo's situation was, Maya Radonovic's episode from Season 7, Episode 8 brought something different to the surface. Her hygiene had deteriorated severely by the time the show arrived, but the environment around her was so chaotic and dysfunctional that the physical neglect almost got lost inside the larger disaster of her personal life. Maya was unable to care for herself in any meaningful way. Her size had stripped away the ability to reach most of her own body, which meant that cleaning her skin folds, washing properly, and managing the basic physical upkeep of someone at her weight was a struggle for her and entirely insufficient as it was. The skin fold issue at her size was a constant medical concern. Without consistent and thorough cleaning of those areas, the moisture and bacteria that build up become a serious infection risk, and evidence of that neglect was visible on screen. Her body showed the signs of someone who had gone without proper hygiene maintenance for an extended period, and it was obvious that she was not cleaning up as well as she should have.
I could easily break bones, and then I would not be able to get out of the bathroom. By the time I'm done, it's like I've done, a 20-25 minute workout.
But the thing that elevated Maya's episode into genuinely disturbing territory was her boyfriend, Christian. Their relationship was volatile in a way that made every scene feel difficult to watch, and the drama between them did not stay contained to their personal life.
Shortly after we started dating, he offered for me to move in with him. So I did. And my relationship with him has been great. My weight never bothered him.
He says it's not a big deal to him, but sometimes I feel like it is.
Since I've been with him, my health has just gotten worse and worse. And I feel awful. Because it seems like Christian immediately had to become my caretaker in a number of ways. I just can't do a lot. It's hard.
It split into her medical care, disrupted her appointments, and created a constant atmosphere of conflict that made any real progress nearly impossible.
After struggling with the diet some, my plan was to try and work really hard for a few weeks to lose as much as I could. But it hasn't gone exactly as I hoped. It's just been a lot harder. Me and Christian have been fighting a lot. He's not happy here, and I don't understand why he can't focus on why we're doing this and support me like I need right now. But he finally told me the truth. He never thought I would make it this far and we'd have to be down here for a year.
So what happened?
It's just been a really hard time. Christian and I have been fighting a lot, and getting down here, driving, was just really stressful. But I've been trying to eat as healthy as I can.
Well, I understand things are hard, but if you use that as an excuse to overeat, then you're never gonna lose weight because life gets hard. So as sympathetic as I am to that, it's still no excuse.
The situation with Christian had become so bad that he finally abandoned her in the middle of her weight loss journey.
Oh, you haven't lost that much. Yeah. Because of the stress of you treating me like this. I'm about to melt down. Doctor now asked you a simple question.
I've answered questions in the past. I could take a day off.
I hate you. I hate you for doing this to me, Christian. Why can't you just answer the questions?
Oh, you're costing me my weight loss surgery and you're ruining everything!
Damn it, Christian, stop!
Are you choosing to leave before I got the surgery date, 2 weeks before rent's due, before any of my family members are here, and you're abandoning me? Why are you choosing to do all of that right now? Is your stuff packed?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this?
Yep.
Why didn't you tell me?
I did.
No, you didn't. You told me in a text message when I was gone from the house. Why did you not tell me, before?
Maya's episode was deeply unsettling and produced the kind of unease that comes from watching a situation that has too many unstable elements and not enough people willing to stabilize it. But Cyrita Covington's story brought a quieter but no less difficult version of the same collapse. By the time the cameras arrived on season 11, episode 4, her mobility was almost entirely gone, and everything that depends on mobility, including basic hygiene and personal care, had gone with it. She struggled to clean her body, manage her skin folds, and handle the daily physical tasks that her size had made almost completely inaccessible to her. This was just how every day looked like for her, and everyone involved had simply adapted to it.
It's depressing because I have a lot of stomach, and then with having short arms and trying to reach behind a big old body, and it's challenging, very challenging.
Despite the struggle, the eating was relentless. Massive portions were consumed in the same bed where she cooked and slept, and the environment reflected how disgusting her lifestyle was.
Food fulfills me. It fulfills empty voids that humans can't fulfill. It's like a kid in the candy store. When you go in the candy store and your eyes light up because you got a multitude of stuff and you got all type of different variety of stuff. That's the same thing when it comes to looking at my refrigerator like, oh, I'm eating out of every one of those snacks.
One fan could not believe the state of the house. Cooking in the bed is so dangerous. The room's also a mess. How could you not have bugs? Unfortunately, the state of your house is usually an insight into your mind, and it's sloppy just like how she is currently. The carpet looked like it had not been properly cleaned in years, matted down and darkened in a way that suggested layers of dirt that had simply been walked over and ignored until they became part of the floor. There was no clear path through the room. Clutter had taken over every available surface and most of the floor space, leaving barely enough room for the people caring for her to move around her bed without stepping over things. The walls carried their own evidence of long-term neglect, marked with cracks and stained in the way that walls in homes that stop being maintained start to look after enough time passes. And then there was the staircase, which looked like it had been under enough stress for long enough that the chances of someone falling through the floor were extremely high.
The floor is unleveled and uneven and it's weak, so I'm scared that I may fall through the floor. And then it's hard going up and down the stairs because my stairs are so steep. I have a fear of falling down the stairs.
The surfaces around her, the bedding, the space she occupied, all of it bore marks of a life lived entirely in one confined spot. Viewers watching her eat in those conditions described it as genuine mental illness, because the contrast between what she was consuming and the state of the space she was consuming it in was impossible to ignore. One user said, "Holy moly, the filthy hoarding mess of that house. I'll never understand how people can live in a dirty house and be okay with it. It screams mental illness to me. The house is a reflection of the mental states in relationship." Her dependence on the people around her was complete, and the toll that took on those individuals was visible in a way that the show did not try to hide. Sairita's episode sits in that category of stories where grossness is not delivered through a single shocking scene, but through the steady accumulation of details that add up to a picture of total physical and environmental collapse. And where Sairita's collapse was largely hidden inside a home that had quietly fallen apart around her, the next person on this list wore the consequences of her neglect far more visibly, and in ways that made every scene of her episode uncomfortable to sit through. Dolly appeared in Season 10, Episode 12, weighing 593 pounds, and her hygiene problems were visible from the opening scenes of her episode. Her lymphedema was enormous and had been left to grow without proper medical management for a long time, and the chronic irritation and skin breakdown that came with that were constant features of her daily life.
My weight has affected my lungs. I can hardly go to the bathroom on my own. I can't even help myself in the shower. Some days I skip it, and on the days that I do shower, I need Cheyenne and my mom to come wash me because I struggle to stand. I've had a lymphedema mass under my stomach for 4 years now, so I have to put my leg up on the side of the tub and have Cheyenne reach through there and scrub for me, which is pure torture.
The lymphedema rubbed against her skin continuously, creating raw, inflamed patches that were always at risk of becoming infected. Cleaning around it required real effort and specific care, and Dolly was not in a position to provide that herself. She depended entirely on others to manage her hygiene, and even with that help, the skin in and around the lymphedema was in a consistently poor state throughout her episode.
Because I have a really bad rash. And I'm worried about how bad it can get on the road and how painful it might be for me to drive all that way.
But what was even more disgusting was how she and her caretaker used the cooking ingredient as a makeshift powder between fat folds to prevent it from rubbing, as if Dolly couldn't afford a proper hygiene product while she ate bouts of food.
Okay, we put cornstarch in my folds.
Dr. Now asked her to lose 100 pounds over the next 2 months before he would consider her for surgery, but Dolly went home and kept eating. By her next appointment, she had lost only 17 pounds, and her reasoning basically proved how serious she took the weight loss.
I'm doing what Dr. Now says and what my mom says, and I'm working to get approved for surgery. I don't feel like these are changes that I can make for the rest of my life, but I do feel like I can do it for the short term, if it's just to get approved. That's a big goal of mine, and I'm working towards that.
However, Dr. Now gave her another chance, and that was when things took a turn that made her episode particularly grim. She moved out of her mother's house, the one stable environment she had, and ended up living with a man she had met in a homeless shelter.
So I met someone a couple weeks ago, and his name is Philip, and he's just about the sweetest guy you're ever gonna meet. And I started dating him, and one thing led to another. And now we moved in together.
Still got 7 days.
Okay.
The room she moved into him was the kind of place that made the state of her previous living conditions look way better by comparison. One fan was utterly disgusted by Dolly's decision. She ditched her mom to go live in a literal crack house. That room is disgusting. On top of that, her lymphedema, hygiene, and living situation all deteriorated together. And by the end of her episode, she had lost only 40 pounds and never qualified for surgery. Dolly's story is one that viewers remember for the physical grotesqueness of the lymphedema, the neglect that allowed it to get it that bad, but although Dolly's environment and body had both paid the price of years of neglect, the next person on this list was dealing with a very different kind of battle, one where she was completely alone in facing it, with no one to manage the daily reality of her size but herself. Appearing on Season 7, Episode 13, Kelly Mason weighed 725 pounds when she came on the show, and she was completely alone. No husband, no family or caregiver, and no one living with her to share the burden of what daily life at that size requires.
Because I'm tired of living like this. It's hard having to do everything and having to do everything by myself. But at this size, I've struggled to take care of myself. I live by myself, and my dad is the only person that will come check on me.
The bathing scene near the beginning of her episode became one of the most widely discussed moments in the show's history. And the reason people kept talking about it was not that it was empowering or inspiring, but it was simply because it was deeply uncomfortable to watch. And it went on long enough that there was no looking past what was being shown. Kelly was trying to clean herself at 725 pounds alone in a bathroom that was barely equipped to accommodate her. Her fear of falling added a layer of genuine danger to every attempt at hygiene. At her size, a fall in the bathroom wouldn't just be painful. It was potentially life-threatening because getting up from the floor without assistance is nearly impossible, and the injuries that come from a fall at that weight can be severe.
I just always think like I'm going to fall and it's going to be it.
The fear kept her from cleaning herself properly even on the days when she tried, because reaching the areas that most needed cleaning required movement and balance that she could not safely attempt. The result was a level of hygiene compromise that had been going on for a long time before the cameras arrived. Then came the cab. On the way home from an appointment, Kelly fell between the seats and became completely stuck. She could not free herself, the driver could not help her, and paramedics had to be called to extract her from the vehicle. It was a moment that would have been almost darkly comedic in different circumstances, but in the context of everything the viewer already knew about Kelly's life, it was just another illustration of how completely her size had taken over every aspect of her existence.
Do you have any other door to the other side?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, open it, let's see if we can help her. Kelly, you feeling okay?
I'm tired and I can't pull myself in here.
Just take it easy, take your breath. Hey, there's a police officer driving over there. Wave him over.
I'm right here. They about to get you up.
We need some manpower help.
You want them to try to sit you up now? Okay, ready? Sit up. Watch your foot.
All right, she's out. That's great. We're gonna send her to St. Joseph Hospital to admit her.
Kelly did eventually lose over 300 pounds and qualified for gastric bypass surgery, which was a genuine and hard-won achievement. She fought for it and she earned it. But on February 15th, 2019, Kelly Mason died in her sleep from cardiac arrest. Cindy Villa made her appearance on Season 9, Episode 4, weighing 614 pounds and practically confined to her bed, with a caregiver named Denise managing almost every aspect of her daily existence. The dependence was total and visible.
It's already almost impossible for me to stand and get around now. So I'm trapped in this bed pretty much all day, every day. And I live alone, so I have a caretaker named Denise.
But the thing that caught viewers off guard almost immediately was the appearance of her body. Her skin had changed color in ways that were hard to explain without understanding what years of poor circulation and hygiene neglect can do to the human body. Parts of her skin had turned a dark brown, and her legs had gone a deep, alarming purple. The purple discoloration in her legs was consistent with severely compromised circulation, the kind that happens when weight presses down on blood vessels for years without relief. The dark patches elsewhere on her body indicated chronic neglect of hygiene in areas she could not reach or clean properly. Taken together, her body was a visible record of what years of immobility and inadequate care had done to her skin. Her eating habits made the hygiene situation harder to manage. Before she had even bathed on a given day, she had already consumed a full meal in bed.
Breakfast is here. Food is what drives me and helps me face my day. And when I'm eating, it's all I care about. It gives me a peace that I can't get from anything else. And just a little goes a long way to energize me and get me going.
The moment Denise got herself cleaned up and back to bed, she was asking for more food. The cycle of eating and lying still had been going on for so long that it had become the entire structure of her day. Nothing about that structure left room for adequate self-care. When Dr. Now entered the picture, Cindy had become a bottomless supply of reasons why she could not do what he asked. She could not travel to Houston, she could not follow the diet, she could not make the next appointment. Every instruction he gave her came back wrapped in an excuse, and viewers watching that pattern repeat itself across the entire episode found it genuinely exhausting to witness.
I can't make it. I have to go back. Can't make it down there.
Okay.
Okay. Hurry, no.
Here. We're trying to give her a little of what she wants. And in exchange, she has to push herself to do more with us. So it's give and take, and hopefully we can get her to where she needs here soon. So Dr. Now will do weight loss surgery on her.
I tried. That step is just too steep right now. It's just I got dizzy and lightheaded at the same time so that made me panic.
She didn't feel like she was able to get up and go again. So Dr. Now sent an ambulance to get her to go to the hospital for a checkup. Me and Candy pushed her to do what she needed, but Cindy pushed right back most of the time.
That's how they usually do it.
One person noticed how uninterested she was in the program. Cindy is the slowest, monotone, and unenthusiastic person I've ever seen on this show. By the end of her episode, Cindy had never made it to surgery. The excuses were still coming. Denise was still doing everything. And the purple legs and dark skin were still there as evidence of everything that had been ignored for far too long. But as troubling as Cindy's situation was, the next case on this list took the discomfort in a completely different direction, because the person being failed was not just the patient herself. Mila Clarke's episode is one that has stayed with viewers for years, and the reason is not the nearly 600 pounds she eventually lost, even though that transformation was extraordinary. The reason people cannot let go of her episode is what her children were made to live through before any of that happened, specifically what they were made to do with their own hands every single day. Mila appeared on Season 4, Episode 10, bedridden at 751 pounds. She could not move herself, could not clean herself, could not manage any aspect of her physical care independently. That level of dependence at that level of weight requires a significant amount of daily labor from whoever is providing the care. And in Mila's case, that labor fell on her 3 minor children.
You gotta make the bus, let's go. I'm trapped here, and I can't even take care of myself. So my children have to do everything for me.
They were responsible for washing her entire body, a task that involves cleaning deep skin folds where bacteria and moisture accumulate constantly, drying areas that cannot be left damp without risking infection. In managing the physical reality of caring for a body that large with the hands and the strength of children who had no medical training and no real choice in the matter, and the body they were cleaning was visibly deteriorating in ways that made the task even harder to look at. The lymphedema mass that one of the children had to physically hold up during cleaning was not just swollen. It was discolored, deformed, and looked nothing like the limb it had grown around. The skin was stretched and darkened, and in all honesty, utterly disgusting. Her 10-year-old son was present in the room while all of this happened, and he was part of the routine even though it looked like he wasn't.
My youngest one, Joshua, is 10, and he's too little to help out. He's not strong enough to hold me.
And on top of everything else, one scene showed her daughter Anna washing Mila's private parts on camera while her brother held her rotting and discolored lymphedema with a matter-of-fact quality of something that had been done so many times that it no longer felt remarkable to anyone in that household.
So my 3 middle children, Hannah and Caleb, who are 15, and Jacob, who is 16, have to clean me everywhere so I don't develop any infections. And while Hannah is washing my private parts, Jacob is usually holding my lymphedema because it's so heavy, she cannot hold that and wash me at the same time.
Viewers watching that episode were not just disgusted. They were angry in a sustained and specific way that came through in comment after comment. I just found myself disliking her, using her children like that. They deserve to have a mother who takes care of them, not the other way around. The weight loss that came later was real and remarkable, but it did not change what had happened in that house, nor the image her episode left behind. The teenagers bathing their mother is what people remember, and that is what her legacy on the show will always be. And while Mila's story was defined by what her children were made to carry, the next patient brought a completely different kind of weight on the show, one that she carried entirely on her own and spent most of her time refusing to acknowledge. Joyce Delvescova arrived on Season 8, Episode 7 of My 600-Pound Life, weighing 758 pounds with a BMI of 160, numbers that put her in a level of physical crisis that very few episodes have ever documented. She needed help with basic hygiene from the start of her episode, because at 758 pounds with a huge lymphedema, independent self-care is functionally impossible. She had a caregiver who had taken on that responsibility, and the show captured what that looked like in practice.
Mom lives with me and takes care of me, and without her, things would be even worse, because I can't even get out of bed on my own. That's how bad off my body is now. My weight's too much for me to move around. And I also have bad lymphedema on my lower body that makes any movement of mine really painful. so I have to do everything right here in the same room.
Bathing someone at that weight means navigating a body where large sections of skin are inaccessible without assistance, where moisture and bacteria collect in folds that are deep enough to harbor serious infections, and where the sheer physical effort of providing that care is exhausting for the person giving it. Joyce's friend was managing all of that and doing so in the most unprofessional ways possible, which made the whole situation even worse. Fans also noticed an issue with the caregiver's methods, with one saying, "Why is the caregiver not wearing gloves while bathing private areas, emptying bedpans and applying creams, etc.? Yikes." Another fan, who seemed to be a professional caregiver, replied, "Yes, gross! I am an in-home caregiver and I am obsessive about wearing gloves. I wear them when touching clients' laundry even, or changing linens." Joyce's story was defined by a body that had been pushed far past its limits and made to go through disgusting routines, and a woman who refused to acknowledge how close to the edge she was standing. But the next person on this list was not just dealing with her own collapse. She was doing it inside an environment so chaotic and so dangerous that her physical condition almost became the least alarming thing the cameras found. Nicole Lewis was 23 years old when she appeared on Season 5, Episode 9 of My 600-Pound Life, and she weighed 684 pounds. At that age and that weight, her body had already accumulated the kind of damage that most people on the show are dealing with after decades of overeating. But her weight and her age were almost secondary to what the cameras found when they arrived at her home, because the environment Nicole was living in went far beyond anything the show had prepared viewers to see.
And my lungs feel very compressed, so I have to take extra deep breaths in just to be able to move. And my back hurts. My body just trembles in pain. And it never ends.
She could not fit through any bathroom door at her house. That single fact determined the entire shape of her hygiene routine, because it meant that proper bathing inside the home was not possible. Her partner washed her outside, on the porch, in view of the surrounding neighborhood. The exposure and indignity of that arrangement was too much for anyone watching, and the show did not cut away from it.
It's very embarrassing. Who sits butt naked in a wheelchair on their back porch to get a shower? You bathe your dog in your backyard. You don't bathe your girlfriend. But I don't have another option. I know Charlie says he doesn't mind, but it's not right that he has to do this for me.
Nicole tells me that it's very humiliating that I had to hose her butt. It's gross sometimes.
The lack of bathroom access also meant that any hygiene involving the toilet required other solutions that created their own sanitation problems. At 684 pounds, managing waste hygiene without proper facilities leads to the same cascade of problems that comes up in every extreme case on this show: skin breakdown, infection risk, and with her pooping right in the middle of her bedroom, she was very prone to these risks. But the hygiene was only the beginning of what made Nicole's episode so alarming. Her parents were drug addicts, and they were using during filming. The home was a functioning drug den, and the cameras were inside it, capturing what daily life looked like in that environment.
But even after him being sober in prison for 2 years, him and my mom got right back into drugs.
Nicole's 2 children were living in that house. They were growing up inside the drug use, the instability, and the physical conditions that came with a 684-pound mother who could not fit through a bathroom door. And that caught up to them when law enforcement raided their home and found narcotics in their tenant's apartment.
Cops told me that they found narcotics and stuff like that in the back apartment. So tenants went to jail. The police have to search the entire premises, so they tore the rest of my house apart. Broke my front door off the hinges, flipped over couches, moved my stove and refrigerator out, and I just immediately got scared because Jaden was crying. The cop told me to put my hands up. I feel very violated.
I never did nothing like that for my life.
Personal life matters. It's got nothing to do with you losing weight. This show's about you, not what happens on our day-to-day personal life and our house getting destroyed by the Houston Police Department.
It's about my journey in my life and my everyday challenges.
Nicole's story sits in a category by itself on the show because it's not just about one person's physical collapse. It's about an entire environment that had collapsed around her and about 2 small children who were caught inside all of it. As horrifying as Nicole's situation was, the next case brought a different kind of physical grotesqueness, one that was impossible to look away from the moment it appeared on screen. Chuck Turner came to season 2, episode 4 of My 600 Pound Life, weighing nearly 700 pounds, and he brought with him a 40-pound lymphedema mass on his leg that became one of the most visually confronting things the show has ever put on screen. Viewers who had seen other lymphedema cases on the show thought that they knew what to expect. Chuck's case showed them that they did not.
I hurt a lot. I got lymphedema on my leg. On a scale of 1 to 10, right now the pain's a 9.
The mass was enormous, discolored, and textured in a way that made it look less like part of a human body and more like something the body was trying to expel. It had grown to a point where it had become a defining feature of his physical existence, something he had to account for in every moment and every attempt at daily life. The smell that accompanies that kind of breakdown is described by medical staff who deal with it regularly as one of the most severe odors in clinical care. Chuck's food addiction had its roots in a genuine tragedy. His first wife had been murdered in 2006, and the grief from that loss had sent him into a depression so severe that food became the only thing that managed it.
My wife was murdered. Yeah, it just floored me. She was a good person, my best friend. I just couldn't take it, so I turned it to food.
Give me the special on your leg and thigh, the 9-piece.
I shut the world out. Just locked myself away and ate fast food 3 times a day. Not really thinking about food, I just blanked my mind out. For a long time, I lost all concept of my weight.
Over the years that followed, the eating had built the weight had built the lymphedema, and the lymphedema had built a daily physical reality that required another person to maintain. His second wife, Nissa, had taken that role on fully, and she stayed in it for a long time, but the emotional weight Chuck carried had never been processed. It came out as anger, but it was directed at Nissa. She absorbed that anger repeatedly, managing both the physical care demands and the emotional hostility.
Hi, son.
Hi, Daddy.
I love you, boy.
We're gonna go take him home, okay?
Huh?
We're gonna take him home, okay?
Take him home.
Yeah.
You leaving me?
You're gonna be fine.
Some wife you are.
Marvin, Charles.
Just go ahead and go.
Marvin.
Yeah. Go. Let's get out of here. You leave my wallet, so I can catch a cab to Beaumont.
Marvin, Charles, I'm picking you up. Don't be over. Dear, I'll call you tomorrow.
Don't even call me.
She eventually left, and watching a caregiver who had given that much of herself finally reach the point where she could not give any more was one of the most affecting moments in an episode that was already difficult to watch.
I'm going because I don't have insurance. I won't be able to go to the doctor like I need to. I'm not going to be able to get my lymphedema fixed. I'm not going to be able to get my skin removed. I don't have nobody to take care of me. She don't care. She does not care. I love that baby. Stop thinking about him. She shouldn't let me go like this. I don't want to be alone.
Chuck's episode is the kind that stays with viewers not because of one scene that crosses a line, but because of the total picture it builds across its runtime. The lymphedema, the hygiene demands, the grief, the anger, and the woman who finally had to walk away from all of it combine into something that is genuinely hard to shake. But as confronting as Chuck's 40-pound lymphedema mass was, the next person on this list arrived with a lymphedema that made Chuck's look small, and the episode that followed became one of the most visually overwhelming the show has ever produced. JT Clark appeared in My 600 Pound Life in Season 8, Episode 4, carrying something that stopped viewers cold the moment it appeared on screen, a lymphedema mass that had grown to approximately 100 pounds, attached to his body and impossible to ignore in every single frame he appeared in. Most people watching the show had seen lymphedemas before, swollen legs, fluid-filled limbs, and discolored and stretched skin. But JT's case took all of that and multiplied it to a scale that genuinely seemed impossible until it was right there on the screen. The mass had grown to a size that had altered his entire silhouette, It changed the way he moved, the way he sat, the way he existed in any space. It had grown to the point where the lymphedema could double as a table.
I also have severe lymphedema on my left leg. I can't walk properly because my lymphedema pushes against both of my legs. It hurts constantly. And I can only stand for maybe 15 minutes at a time. My size and my lymphedema make it hard to fit in most places anymore.
This lymphedema altered his life so much that his hygiene was affected. He couldn't reach or wash certain parts of his body properly, so even though he showered, most of his body would not be cleaned anyway.
The most stinky parts in and out. I can wash everything on my body from about my waist up. When it gets to my leg and down below my leg, it's almost impossible. So I do as much as I can, and then I get out before it gets too bad. But I'm very limited at this point. I'm beyond scared to get to a point where I can't take a shower myself.
To make matters worse, he had to wear the same torn-up, smelly clothes over and over because someone his size couldn't be privileged enough to have clothing options.
But at my size, I don't have many outfit options. I have one pair of pants that fit me still because of how big my leg is, and just a couple of shirts that fit. But they're getting really worn down at this point. And if I get any bigger, they'll either get to be too small or just completely fall apart.
His story was defined by that mass in a way that was inescapable, because everything else in his life had reorganized itself around it. However, this next couple's story looked nothing like JT's, but it was just as hard to stomach for a very different reason. When it comes to Rita Kaiser and Lee Sutton's story, viewers did not just find it sad or dramatic, but genuinely hard to watch. The first thing that stood out was how severe their obesity had become, and in their case, the body showed clear signs of breaking down. Simple daily tasks like standing up, walking a few steps, or moving from a bed to a chair had become extremely difficult. Even using the bathroom or trying to bathe was so much of a struggle. And in a condition like theirs, hygiene was one of the biggest shock triggers for everyone. At very high weights, basic self-care like washing, wiping, or changing clothes becomes nearly impossible. People watching at home pointed out the unsanitary living conditions when they saw them spending hours on the mattress without drying themselves, and what that meant for body odor and health. Dude was one of the most disgusting people on the show. It felt like basic care had collapsed under the weight of the illness. What really made Rena and Lee's episode unique was the combination of all those health problems with anger issues and a clearly unstable relationship. Lee is remembered as the one who initially did well in his journey but resisted progress when Rena started doing better. He purposefully created a hostile environment that made the journey harder for both of them.
This has been a really hard month because things have been harder between me and Lee. And it's starting to feel like all we do is fight. He's still been overeating and doing things he shouldn't. And he's even starting to tell me that I shouldn't get surgery, and I don't know why. We missed our last appointment with Dr. Now because Lee didn't want to go because he knows he's overeating, but it was completely selfish of him because it's my turn to get weight loss surgery.
But breaking down her hope wasn't the only thing he did. He soon escalated from mind games to verbal abuse.
I don't understand why you can't back off. You just keep pushing my buttons.
But that doesn't give you the right to mistreat somebody. The only time you are ever nice to me or talk to me like a human is when you need or want something.
Yeah. What do I do the rest of the time?
You call me a F and B or a C.
When you start calling me names.
No, I don't.
And this exact behavior became the highlight of the entire episode. He came across as angry, controlling, and resentful exactly when Rena was making improvements. But he didn't just stop at Rena. His disgusting behavior discouraged anyone from taking accountability and intensified fights, especially with the people who were trying to help, which even included Dr. Now.
I'm gonna give you 2 months to lose 60 pounds. If you do that, then I'll keep working with you. But if not, then there's no point in us talking and wasting time playing any games with you. You got it?
Yeah, I'll do my best, but I'm trying and you're treating me like I'm not.
I'm not treating you like you're not trying. You're not trying. That's the issue. And you are the one that's responsible for your health. You're the one responsible for changing your eating habit. You're responsible to follow up with your doctor and see a therapist and get the help that you need. But right now, you're just blaming everything and everyone instead of taking responsibility for your choices. You need to be a driving force for your health.
I don't expect anybody to do anything for me.
Well, but you're not doing
I don't even
your
want
part.
to be doing this. I'm going home. Oh, and I'm not going to Texas. I get sick of him. He's the rudest I've ever seen.
And it made it much harder for Rena to stay focused on her treatment, especially when she opened up about the physical abuse she was going through all this time.
The, screaming and the...
So it sounds like the two of you...
I have never cussed you, called you names like you do me. You cuss me, you call me names, you constantly are putting me down.
Even though Lee was warned about the consequences that his actions would lead to, he didn't really care, and later the prediction came true.
The last time you were here, Lee, I must honestly say I was a little bit appalled to hear that a frying pan had been used.
Actually, I wasn't intending to hit her. I was taking it and beating the kitchen up, breaking stuff, and she stood and got in the way, and she got hit in the head with it. Busted her head open.
The viewer's reaction was intense. This guy's not worthy of the kindness and affection of the wonderful woman he's with. This was the tipping point for Rena. She left Lee after the show and even revealed the disgusting lengths Lee went to cheat on her with another married woman. Throughout their weight loss journey, Rena had to clean Lee every day, but Lee repaid her by sabotaging her weight loss journey and busting her head open. This had viewers pissed off at Lee so much that even after his passing, no one really cared to show any kind of remorse. Oh, I remember him. I turned the show off after it said he hit his girlfriend, or whatever she was, with a pan. I was bothered by the fact that she gets beaten, disappears from the show, and he continues on with his journey. But while Lee's abuse was aimed at his partner, Michael Dominguez turned his anger against his entire family. He's remembered as one of the angriest and most toxic patients to ever feature on the show, and his weight problem started early since his childhood, as emotional stress at home pushed him toward food as comfort.
Growing up, there was a lot of anger in our house because my dad was strict and everything had to be a certain way or he would be mad. He had rules for everything, including food. And I was just afraid of him being mad at me.
Around 10 years old, my dad went to jail and it changed my life.
Because I started eating more of what I wanted and being lazier because my dad wasn't around to stop me. So for the next few years, I just ate and gained.
The disgust factor here is not about one single shocking moment. It's more about the feeling that the problem had been building for years until everyday life became physically overwhelming, and at his peak, he weighed around 635 pounds. His eating habits were so out of control that his obsession with food was just like a drug for him, and whenever he could not get it, he would throw a fit like a small child.
I have to make sure that Michael gets what he wants to eat when he wants to eat it, or else he'll get very angry. He really gets mad about his food.
Being hungry really affects my mood. I want what I want, and when Ronnie don't make what I want, I do have my little fits I throw.
The most disgusting part about his obsession was how he treated his wife Ronnie when she tried to cook a healthy meal.
Sometimes she makes healthier food, and I will lash out at her because I just don't want it. I want to eat what I like, or there's going to be trouble.
All the while, his wife and children had to deal with his anger on the other side every single day. And when he was moving to Houston with his entire family, his temper exploded at his son DJ for not doing the work just how he wanted to, instead of being the helpful father that he should be.
DJ, you're slacking. Come on, son. DJ, did I ask you, does that box fit next to it? If you're not throwing your tantrum, he's throwing these little tantrums. I asked him, does the box...
doing this.
Okay, then don't do it.
But Michael did not just have anger problems. He initially lacked the will to turn his life around. When he first walked into Dr. Now's office, he was immediately put on a strict diet right away. But as soon as he got back home, he chose to ignore the diet he had been given and began eating only certain foods that he wanted. His family had no choice but to go along with his demands or risk starting another fight.
Michael now is on a really strict diet, and he usually eats 2 eggs for breakfast. Eggs are one of the only healthy things that I can get him to eat. And I'm not trying many other things for him because I just want to avoid any fighting or conflict. But Michael can't eat what he wants. So he's angry all the time now, and it kind of gets annoying, but I don't say anything to him because we end up fighting.
What really made viewers sick of him was how little effort he was putting in, while everyone around him had to leave their own lives behind and move to a completely new place just for his sake. Everyone else was busy breaking their backs to support the family and help him on his journey, but he was busy being a couch potato.
I'm working now. My daughter's working 2 jobs. She's going to school, I'm going to school, and all the weight's been put on me and Brianna to bring in money so that we could pay the bills. And honestly, I was hoping coming down here and doing this would start to get Michael more involved. But he's just sitting on the couch, not doing nothing all day, just a couch potato. But I want the roles to change.
It's so frustrating to hear people say they don't like living like this, that they don't like being taken care of, but they do nothing to change it. Finally, a point came when he began putting in effort and making progress, which later qualified him for the weight loss surgery.
So you lost 100 pounds overall, but just 84 pounds this past couple of months. It's not as much as I wanted you to lose, but 84 pounds still show me a good amount of progress. So I'm approving you for weight loss surgery.
Although after the surgery, he did make some decent progress, none of that seemed to change his emotional outbursts. Deep down, he was still the same angry person he had always been, and kept on treating his family with an ugly attitude.
Clean off the table, is that bird poop?
It look like it.
Just try to be okay for now, babe.
Yeah, it's just the table's dirty. I'm already getting irritated, so I'm trying to chill out a little bit.
Why are you getting irritated?
Because the table's dirty, I feel like you get some nasty could have been sent somewhere else that's nicer, cleaner.
For a minute. I thought surgery would help him out, but it don't make no difference because Michael is completely the same. What's changed is just his physical appearance, not his behavior or anything like that. I'm just trying to calm him down is so much of a headache and so much of a hassle that it just tires me out. It's extremely embarrassing and extremely hard to deal with.
Apart from all of this, the ugliest and most disgusting event was when only Michael's wife, Ronnie, and his 2 children visited Dr. Now for the final appointment. And that's when they reported how his rage had taken an even darker turn that made Ronnie leave him forever.
And what's up with that finger?
He went to the restroom and he was like yelling, calling me names and everything. I pushed open the door and he slammed the door so hard that I lost the finger. Yeah, we're no longer obviously together. He's not at the house.
Viewer reaction was strong and mostly negative. People viewed the couple's toxic dynamic and how he treated Ronnie badly while expecting full support from her. This guy makes Stinky Booty Lacey look like a saint. I was getting angrier by the second. But where Michael weaponized his anger, Lisa Eberson used helplessness as her shield, lying in bed for years while her boyfriend did everything for her. Lisa's episode is one that viewers do not forget quickly. She appeared on the 14th episode of Season 10 as a patient who had been stuck in bed for several years, and because of her weight, she had to rely on her boyfriend Randy for almost everything.
I feel bad because sometimes my bedding gets wet, and then we have to change the bedding. You know, it's kind of stressful. I have to use the bathroom with stress on my body.
Sorry.
Oh. You want to get as good as you can. We have to change the bedding. So yeah, I'm stressed a lot. And then if it's bath time, we'll take a bath. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Randy was reduced to her personal caretaker who did not just help clean up when she had an accident in bed, but also had to wash her every single morning.
Get some soap and rags and wash my legs and rinse them off. It's a long process because we have to wash and then I have to dry everything to get the dead skin off. I've always wanted to lose weight, I just never knew how to lose weight. Nobody wants to be like this. And if they do, they're crazy.
Lisa's house was vile, dirty, uncleaned, with flies everywhere. She cooked right on the bed using an electric skillet, and her blood-stained mattress had no sheets. As far as she was concerned, she could do whatever she wanted from the comfort of that filthy bed, even though she weighed over 630 pounds and didn't care how big she had gotten. Watching Lisa put in barely any effort to get out of bed or even cutting down on her food intake upset one fan in particular. She was horrible, and she didn't really want to help lose weight. She obviously wanted to continue being a victim, lying in bed, everyone else waiting on her hand and foot. While all of this wasn't enough, to make things worse, Randy was forced to sleep in the same bed as her, while she ate whatever was placed in front of her. Viewers weren't just upset at Lisa about her eating habits, but were also disgusted with her living conditions. What in the world could they take? I could smell that episode. She was awful, and the home was awful. I cannot imagine what was in that backyard. Moldy clothes, rusty buckets, a rat-infested moldy couch? Ugh. Eventually, Lisa reached out to Dr. Now for help with her weight, but instead of being excited and willing to change her life, she wasn't ready to travel all the way to Houston for her appointment, and ended up staying in bed and doing it remotely.
Cook it together.
How are you going to cook in the bed?
I got an electric skillet that I sit on the side of the bed and cook.
So you're cooking food in the bed?
Well, yeah, I sit in the bed and put the skillet on the side and cook.
That sounds dangerous.
While cooking in the bathroom itself is a dangerous thing to do, what's more concerning about her was the deteriorating medical condition of her body, which even shocked Dr. Now when he saw her deformed legs.
Can you hold that down there?
We just see part of your leg, but not the entire part.
I got lymphedema bad too.
I see that.
At this point, her body was in such bad shape that one doctor warned her that her bones might break if she tried to stand. The kind of warning makes her condition sound terrifyingly fragile. This is one of the grossest aspects in the emotional sense too, because it shows a body that no longer functions in a normal way at all. Even when she acted like she was motivated to turn her life around, her actions over the next few months showed otherwise. Dr. Now wanted her to start physical therapy and strictly follow the weight loss diet plan she was given in order to lose weight before the next appointment. But much to his disappointment, that did not happen. And from this point onward, Lisa started showing her nasty attitude.
I don't quite understand your book and what kind of diet you want me to be on.
Then you haven't read it because there is only one diet in there. You read the stuff where you will understand that you eat only 3 times a day, only about 400 calories, high protein, and you avoid all the high-calorie food list that we send you. Which part of that is hard to understand?
I'm confused all the way around, I guess.
You're confused. Okay. I think the reality is you're playing games and pretending to be confused because you still want to eat whatever you want whenever you want.
Despite living in filth with her deteriorating health, she wasn't ready to make any effort. The doctor sent multiple professionals to help her get back on track, but she would not move an inch. Instead, she shouted and verbally abused them until they left her house.
He hasn't made none. He doesn't do anything to make you feel like a piece of.
Can I tell you about those recommendations?
No.
Getting help?
Just get away from me.
Okay.
Get the out. Do not ever come back to my house again. Whatever. You are not supposed to be here this late. How is that fair? You are not supposed to come this late. I really don't have anything to say to you or anything I want to do. You wasted your time. Oh my God, never mind. Thank you for coming. That's the end of it. Bye-bye. And this is why my family don't with white people no more.
Sadly, Lisa's situation only got worse when her boyfriend Randy caught COVID and died a few months after she quit the program. And as usual, some fans did not hold back the disgust they felt while watching all of this drama unfold. I tried to watch her episode again yesterday, but couldn't. Physically repulsed lately by sores and shit. Just disgusting. Lisa's refusal to move or clean herself was shocking, but Marla McCants went even further with her stubbornness. Her journey starts with near total immobility, where she had not only fallen into a completely still way of living, but she was also waited on and taken care of in every possible way, all while she remained still all the time. But the most troubling part was how her daughter had to do the unpleasant work of washing, cleaning, and scrubbing her down, while Marla enjoyed the comfort of staying lazy. While this was not enough, she even complained about her own life to try to make herself look helpless.
I'm trapped.
Go.
My weight
has condemned me to this bed. I can't do anything. I can't even bathe myself.
Even so, her daughter did all of it without a single complaint. Yet the pain was clear on her face as she cleaned the extra folds on Marla's skin, wiped the dirt off her body, and cleaned the most intimate areas of her body.
My kids have to do that for me. I have 3 daughters, and I depend on them for everything. It makes me feel like a burden to them.
Viewers were disgusted by this unhealthy relationship between the two, and it had caused Marla to become extremely overweight and completely dependent on her daughter, while her daughter was at an age where she should have been living her own life freely. Marla just wants to keep her daughters trapped as a caretakers. My heart goes out to her daughters. But if that wasn't bad enough, her laziness took an even bigger and more shocking turn when she brought a stove to her bed on a disgusting-looking table while she sat on her mattress breading and frying chicken, which made viewers even more grossed out. I cannot watch her episode. I fast-forward her into follow-up. She has such a chip on her shoulder in life, and it's just hateful. While Marla turned her bed into a kitchen, Lupe Samano turned her bed into a disaster zone. Lupe's story mixes extreme immobility, medical danger, dependence on a caregiver, and some of the show's most disgusting scenes. She featured on Season 4, Episode 12 as a patient weighing 642 pounds, who immediately showed how much she loved food.
Sometimes I'll order me an extra taco and put it in my purse. Gilbert, you don't even know.
She was already in a life-threatening condition and had spent roughly a decade in bed, which showed the total physical breakdown and how her body was no longer supporting normal life, and the episode makes that clear from the very start. She was totally dependent on her husband Gilbert for the most basic care, even though he hated it, and to make it worse, her condition was so bad that she could not even go to the bathroom on her own.
So now my bed is my restroom, my place where I take a shower, where I do everything.
You good?
That helplessness is what makes the episode feel so grim, and everything only got worse from here. During the car trip from California to Houston to see Dr. Now, the ride was so hard on her that she was admitted to the hospital immediately after arriving because her heart was in failing condition.
If it is something like a blood clot in her leg, she could be moments away from a life-threatening event like pulmonary embolism, so we're going to try to determine what's going on with her. It's clear that Lupe is in very bad state. She's short of breath, she cannot walk, she cannot stand, she cannot move, she cannot breathe.
But it wasn't just that. During that ride, she also repeatedly had accidents and soiled herself in the car, forcing Gilbert into a gross roadside routine of dealing with her urine-soaked towels over and over.
Lock it up this car, I'd rather pee on the damn floor. I had an accident. Yes, help me.
What do you want me to do right now?
We gotta get some rags to change it because I went to the restroom.
Okay.
It's wet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was a horrible cycle that understandably frustrated and disgusted him.
So both up. Yeah, a lot of drive after this.
The rags are wet.
Huh? The rags are wet too?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do with this?
Throw it.
You want to walk in here with this? God. Yes, I'm getting frustrated right now. I'm sitting there in the backseat of the car, and she's making all these moaning and groaning sounds. Mentally, it's just tiring. I'm feeling it too physically, but man, mentally, there's a lot to take, kid.
Watching how often Lupe soiled herself repeatedly was absolutely disgusting to some fans, with one of them reacting by saying, "When she peed on the towels in the car and her husband had to go wash them, I died inside." Once they reached Dr. Now's office, there was another gross incident that made Lupe shatter a toilet under her weight and became trapped in the broken porcelain pieces.
Make me up, please.
Oh, babe, you're overthinking it.
It's broken. I'm not gonna fall the damn thing.
The chair broke?
Yes.
You gotta get off this damn... I'm trying to help you. You're crying more than you're trying. Let me get a nurse real quick. Can you give me a hand real quick? So you can help her push up. She needs to...
Don't let me go, please.
I'm not. Would you just come on?
Okay.
This led to a humiliating rescue by paramedics and plumbers, all while fresh waste was split around her, and she kept on screaming and crying. That prompted viewers to simply say, "So embarrassing to have broken the toilet and the ambulance had to be called to help her up from the toilet. If that's not rock bottom for Lupe, I don't know what is." And the most shocking part for viewers was still to come. The pair had a deeply uncomfortable layer to their relationship dynamic. Gilbert was originally presented as a caring husband and caretaker, but it turned out that he was the one who actively enabled her bad behavior and cheating on her with other women.
I'm in a hotel right now because I have left Gilbert. I'm done with his cheating, his drinking, and his abuse. And I've seen that as I lose weight more, it's getting worse. His insecurities, his jealousy, that's not a life for me. And finding out he was still contacting other women online was the final straw for me.
But this was barely the tip of the iceberg. The most shocking part for viewers was still to come. Right after the surgery, Gilbert pressured her into intimacy before she was healed, which led to ruptured sutures and an infection serious enough to require another surgery.
It's been about a month since I had my skin removal surgery, and I was healing well. But Gilbert was really insistent that we have sex when I got home. And afterwards, it felt like I had ripped open my sutures.
What is that, mold?
The pain is so unbearable. I asked Gilbert to call an ambulance to take me to the hospital, and all he can think about is getting drunk.
5 hours in the ER. God, unbelievable.
Gilbert's nasty attitude was finally shown in this incident, but he couldn't care less about anything. Still, Lupe eventually found success with surgery, but that's not what fans remember first. Her legacy is instead defined by a trio of gross moments: the travel mess, the toilet disaster, and the abusive relationship dynamic. Imagine having your most embarrassing moment caught on camera for the whole world to see. She worked hard and she deserves good things. While Lupe's husband betrayed her, Lacey Buckingham's boyfriend was there with her all the time, but she repaid him by lying, missing appointments, and soiling herself in the car while he cleaned up after her. Lacey appeared in Season 10, Episode 5 of My 600-Pound Life, weighing around 593 pounds with breathing issues and mobility pain that made daily tasks impossible for her.
And I'm very short of breath almost immediately doing anything where I have to move.
That made even basic chores difficult for her, and she was dependent on her boyfriend Ricky for the everyday tasks, which even included wiping Lacey after she was done pooping. Surprisingly, this was going on for years, and Lacey was completely fine with it, and kept on telling how much she loves food.
Lacey asked me to come to the bathroom, and sometimes I do help her wipe herself. It doesn't bother me because I love her a lot.
My greatest love in life is food. I absolutely love food. Make sure you put butter in the skillet for the bacon.
That's fine.
I consider myself a bad food addict. Like it's an IV pump into my arm. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no greater pleasure in this world than eating food. It's a more pleasure button for me than sex. It pleasures me. Food, it's everything.
What pushed her to seek help from Dr. Now was her dream of having a healthy life with her boyfriend Ricky, but her willingness to actually lose weight was doubtful from the beginning. Even Ricky's sister, Sharon, wasn't really sure about it.
She's not showing any efforts to lose the weight. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not gonna be able to do Dr. Now.
During the road trip to Houston, things showed how dependent she was on everyone. It required Sharon to drop everything in her life and drive them all the way to Houston, whereas Ricky was playing nanny and cleaning her every time Lacey soiled herself in the car instead of going to the toilet.
Oh, shark. What in the is wrong with you? Oh, I gotta get fast. And new pants.
So,
New pants! New pants!
Oh, God, no. She pooped herself and she was just taking a fart, you know, like anybody does, and, well, it wasn't a fart.
Sharon was against the relationship Ricky and Lacey had and could clearly see that she was using him. But what ticked her off was how she lied and hid about missing multiple appointments with Dr. Now.
Judge at first, you know, because I feel everybody has their own thing. But I think they like each other a lot. You know, I think they do like each other. But it's not love. We all know it's not love. I think it's more like she needs somebody to take care of her. And my brother is
automatically just jumps in and does it because that's what he does.
See, I was worried, but it's been almost 3 months since you were supposed to follow up with us. I haven't heard from you, so I can see what's going on.
This caused an explosive argument between Lacey and Sharon, which made Sharon call Lacey out for her lack of effort.
This is your second time missing this appointment? What was the first time?
The first time was June.
Oh, well, why did you miss this first appointment in June?
Missed the first appointment in June because we couldn't get couldn't get there on, I think it was because we couldn't get there on get financial afford plane tickets or something. I don't remember.
Plane tickets are hella cheap right now. You mean to tell me you were supposed to go see the doctor then? You were just around. You know what? All the information I get and everything that I hear just pisses me off, Lacey, because you are such this is lying. Every day this week, this is done. It pissed me off. If she lies one more time, I swear to God, I'm a karate chopper. All that money you were spending on shopping, you could have been down in Houston. You are not ready to lose weight.
It was clear that Lacey was slacking off and lying about why she wasn't losing weight. She was annoying everyone involved. What a train wreck. This episode had everything. The poundage, the drama, the love story, the breakup, the screaming prospective sister-in-law, the frequent fast food stops, and the poop pants. The only thing missing was actual weight loss. Lacey's laziness and lies were frustrating, but Gina Crassley's lack of hygiene took it to a whole new level by smelling so bad that people from her past still remembered it years later. She appeared in Season 8, Episode 5 of the show, weighing 606 pounds. And right from the beginning, she came across as a whiny and demanding person who would do anything to have her way. And this was affirmed one night when she made Beth go out to get dinner, even though Beth had offered to cook a healthy meal at home.
Hi, babe, where are you?
No, I'm going home.
Oh, okay. Well, can you go to the diner and pick up us some food?
No, we have food at home. I can cook at home.
You're not gonna cook this late.
I can.
No, you're not. What's the big friggin' deal? I don't get it. Just go.
Well, you gotta call it.
No, you're gonna call because you have to call.
Okay.
But what really made everyone disgusted about her was her hygiene-related problems, which she showed no desire to change when she admitted the most unexpected thing.
I bathe downstairs in the half bath, sitting on the toilet, maybe once a month. Except on the days where I'm forced to take a bath, which I really hate doing. But if my family starts to nag me a lot about it, I just rather not deal with everyone being upset with me, so I just do it.
She refused to bathe regularly and often went over a week without a bath at 600 pounds. Also, since she couldn't walk upstairs, she only had sponge baths in their downstairs powder room. Her episode was very hard to watch. When Dr. Now asked her about her eating habits, this lazy attitude was backed up by the strange reasons she gave for eating.
And usually it's either my mom or my wife that eventually make me take a bath. But I try to avoid it as much as I can.
You're not working.
No, I don't work.
All right, so how you support yourself?
I'm on disability and my wife works.
There was absolutely no reason for her not to bathe, but Gina was more focused on blaming everything else for her slip-ups. Even when Dr. Now placed her on a strict 1,200-calorie diet to test her commitment, she began giving excuses the moment she got back home.
Couldn't even try to start the diet and exercise plan Dr. Now gave me until we got back home. So I haven't had a lot of time to make some progress yet. But Beth went to the grocery store and got some healthier food options for me to start adjusting to the new diet. So I've been working on doing that, but it hasn't been easy because I haven't been feeling well. I think the traveling took a lot out of me and broke my system down a little. But I'm trying to do the best I can because I know how important this is.
When Beth and her family pushed her to eat healthy and stick to the diet, viewers witnessed her once again whining and arguing with them just to avoid that healthy eating.
Oh no, I'm not in the mood for any of that. I'm hungry and I'm sick.
What do you want?
Something that I probably shouldn't have, but...
You have to have what's on the diet.
I know, but I don't feel good and I'm hungry.
I understand that, but that's not a reason or an excuse.
Okay, Baz, can you go get me something?
We can't do that. You have to have what's on your diet.
You guys aren't eating healthy. When you guys said you would do this with me and you're not.
All that arguing and refusal to eat right led to her gaining weight instead of losing it. Yet she was not ready to accept that. Instead, she kept living in a delusion that she was working hard.
I just don't see how I gained. Not with how hard I worked. I changed so much and I gave up a lot. So that just doesn't make any sense.
Fans watching at home got annoyed because they saw no real effort. Beth stayed loyal and worked very hard, but Gina played mind games with her and took advantage of her help. As time went on, Gina cheated on her diet again and again, and kept on missing her weight goals until she ended up weighing even more than when she first walked in. And she kept giving excuse after excuse about how hard she was working. But this time, Dr. Now was fed up with her and gave her an ultimatum.
I've been working extremely hard. I'm making all changes, therapy, doing stuff by myself, eating the 1,200 calorie diet, doing exercise. So I've been trying really hard to do everything I'm supposed to be doing.
So unless you are able to change your eating habit and lose 50 pounds over the next 2 months, we won't be moving ahead with you, and you're never going to be approved for weight loss surgery.
Okay.
Okay? But this is your last chance. You got that?
Yes, absolutely.
Viewers hated all her excuses, disgusting laziness, and her refusal to change her life. One person who went to school with her recalled, "Went to school with Gina. Literally had lockers right next to her. She always smelled so bad it was unbearable to be near her. Also remember her having a seizure in lunch and she fell flat, backed off the bench, and it sounded like an explosion." But soon, Gina's time ran out, and on August 1st, 2021, she passed away. Gina's refusal to bathe was bad enough, but Crystal Rollins lived in a home so filthy that it looked like a complete dumpster, which made viewers revolted by the scenes. Crystal's condition was so bad that she depended on her oxygen machine all the time just to breathe, while living in terrible and filthy conditions inside her home that looked like it had not been cleaned in months.
Life at my size has become a never-ending struggle. Just even breathing is a struggle. And I have to have oxygen on all the time because my weight has put so much pressure on my lungs.
The furniture and carpet in her room were covered in dirt, paint, and all kinds of trash and tiny dust particles, making her house just as bad as her health conditions. But worse than that was the fact that she was not living in such a dirty environment alone. She was living with her 2 daughters who helped her with everything, even though they were still very young. This didn't just put her own health at risk, but also the lives of her own daughters. All the clutter and dirt that had built up in her house because of her complete neglect and laziness came at the cost of her personal hygiene. Yet she could not care about any of it, and to make matters worse, she even ended up arguing with her own brother, who offered to help and take her to Houston just because he asked her to get the house cleaned up.
I should have brought a vacuum, and this whole situation is taking too long. I wanted to be gone already, and we're not.
I mean, you knew, like, this was going on.
Yes, but I also had a whole different plan of action than this.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is, so.
I can't believe her audacity to bitch at her brother about not moving them out of her apartment fast enough while she sits by and watches from a chair. Things were so bad that her brother got visibly overwhelmed by the filth.
I need a break. You guys knew about the and you're making me work 10 times harder, so.
We basically did all the work.
You could have had this cleaned up before we started moving.
Okay, we get it, Josh.
If you didn't live the way you did, we wouldn't have the problems we have. We literally wouldn't have these problems if they just would act right and live right, but they don't. They choose to be dirty. Oh, I can't stand that. I can't stand that. I've tried to be as patient as possible, and I'm just like, I never knew it was this bad.
With all that neglect, it wasn't surprising when her body had a strange odor that made others around her feel uncomfortable, and it reached the point where Dr. Now had to call Crystal out for not cleaning herself properly.
Not only with your weight, but I can smell that your hygiene seems to be an issue too. And at your weight, it's very easy to get infections that can become life-threatening if you don't try to bathe consistently.
Crystal's way of living was not justified at all, and when viewers saw the cockroach infestation at her house, with roaches crawling all around, it added even more disgust to what they had already seen. I could only imagine how bad their last house must have smelled, giving her not bathing, and its general filthiness. While Crystal's filth was bad, it was nothing compared to the degrading condition of Lisa's body and the abuse of minors. Lisa's story has an overall gross factor for the way she lived, since she had been stuck in bed for years. She can be seen lying on the same mattress, which was stained and pressed down under her weight, trapping sweat, body fluids, and odors. But the most disturbing thing about it was that it was the same bed where her own mother had also died from obesity.
I'm stuck in this bed, and I'm helpless. I can't go anywhere. I can't walk. The littlest things I can't do for myself. And the soreness I have in my body makes every movement difficult.
Because a full cleaning was nearly impossible at her size, the hygiene problems never went away. Her deep skin folds stayed wet from sweat and constant rubbing, which made the perfect place for bacteria to grow and cause infection. To make matters worse, simply getting her out of that bed was a complete nightmare. It took a team of 7 paramedics and a special reinforced ramp just to lift her to get her to an ambulance. Then came the most horrifying moment when their daughter, Danielle, during a routine checkup, lifted a huge fold of skin on Lisa's leg, revealing the clearest proof of total neglect.
A month ago, I started feeling sick and my leg was really bothering me. I kept saying, my leg is hurting bad. And when Danielle pulled open the folds of my skin, she found little maggots on there. So now she has to check my leg every day.
Having maggots living in the skin meant that her body was rotting away while she was still alive, and as disgusting as it gets, her situation had another deeply manipulative side to it. Even though she was completely stuck in bed, she was secretly arranging deals for food and lying about following the program, all while her family struggled to care for her.
These are rewards for love? Is that what you mean?
Not love. Please don't take them, because if you do, I can't get what I want.
Well, we're gonna have to find another way to get what you want.
Come on now, you got to give in on something. Look.
I'm perfectly happy with you having a very happy sex life.
But no,
no bad foods with that.
Put it back.
And just when everyone thought it couldn't get worse, it got even more sickening. With Lisa barely able to move on her bed, her grandson, who looked to be a minor still in high school, was not only forced to see her naked while she was being bathed, but also made to help roll her over, and this was treated as a completely normal thing. People online were justifiably critical. One person commented, "She's so self-absorbed about her own damaged childhood that she can't even see that she's doing exactly the same thing to all her children and grandchildren." On top of that, her immense lack of hygiene, along with the unnoticed insects crawling on her skin, made the episode especially disgusting to watch. The one thing that angers me about most of these kinds of people is that their obesity affects everyone in their lives in a negative way. I don't care if you want to eat yourself to death, but it's extremely selfish to expect your children to bathe, feed, and cater to your every need. It's selfish and disgusting. Tragically, she passed away in August 2018 at age 50 after her neglect consumed her. Lisa Fleming's episode was a masterclass in physical decay, whereas Jeannie Covey's episode was arguably the most filthy house this show has ever seen. When she first arrived on the show, she was well over 600 pounds and was so limited that most of her day was spent sitting or lying down, with normal movement already far beyond what her body could manage. She was in her 30s and was still heavily dependent on her aging parents, especially her mother Barbara, but her lifestyle was problematic in many ways, one of them being her extremely poor hygiene.
So I have to use a portable toilet to go to the bathroom. And I even need help with that, because I can't even wipe myself anymore.
Mom!
Not only was she relieving herself right next to her bed, but her mother had to wipe her clean every time. The grossest thing was that the way she did it was barely enough to clean everything, leaving remnants clinging to Jeannie's skin, and she just sat on the bed just like that. Her mom was also responsible for washing and bathing her with a rag towel and only a bowl of water, showing the height of poor hygiene Jeannie was living in. Jeannie was barely mobile and spent most of her time in a chair in a portable toilet, which is one of the most uncomfortable details of the episode. Her mobility problems made it hard for her to leave the house, travel, or function without help, and this greatly disgusted viewers who called out this unbelievable lifestyle. One person expressed, "For me, this is one of the most infamous episodes just due to the extremely low level of cleanliness and hygiene." And that frustration comes from the environment Jeannie lived in. While she was barely able to take care of herself, she kept 9 dogs in the home who had no choice but to live in the same filth as her, surrounded by dirt everywhere. Cobwebs hung in the corners of her room as if no one had cleaned in years. The walls were stained and seemed like no one ever cleaned them. Soon, her unsanitary lifestyle began taking a toll on her life, because Jeannie developed a life-threatening infection after failing to properly clean herself, leaving feces clinging to her skin, which Dr. Now and his staff were forced to physically scrape away.
Once we got Jeannie in the hospital, we were able to get a better look at the sore she has on her leg. To see that infection she has is very severe. Her overall hygiene seems to be extremely poor. Her mom says she's been trying to keep Jean clean, but she's not washing her every time she uses the bathroom, so there is feces on the back of her leg and in the cracks and her sores. And she has some dead flesh around it that we have to remove. And her skin is so deteriorated in that area that it's going to take a while for us to get it to heal properly, because the skin is so broken down that it can't heal on its own.
Not only that, but the infection got to a point where it had almost taken her life.
But with how bad it is, I think it would have been a month or two before the infection got in her bloodstream and killed her. So it's very important that Jean realize that she needs to drastically improve her health down and lose as much weight as possible.
Viewers were shocked to the core of seeing all of this unfold, and they shared their disgust through comments. Total disaster. And I think she said that they have 9 dogs? It's sick. Can't even imagine what it smells like in there. Poor dogs too. Why the hell would they have so many dogs? The most disturbing part was still to come. During her hospital stay, Jeannie went to the toilet to relieve herself, but instead, she began bleeding. And soon, blood was all over the floor. A truly horrifying sight.
I haven't seen that much blood before. Is it just dripping? It's pouring.
Jeannie often came across to viewers as defensive, and her living situation was absolutely revolting to the viewers watching, cementing Jeannie as one of the grossest stars on My 600-Pound Life. But even Jeannie's filth was topped by Charity Pierce, whose legs didn't even look connected, and whose body was trapped in a permanent cycle of infection and decay. When Charity began her journey on the show, she weighed around 778 pounds, and right from the first scene, her appearance was jarring and described as almost otherworldly, with massive folds of skin and fat. Her appearance took such a toll on her mind that she herself admitted she felt like she didn't look like a human being.
I mean, I look completely different than anybody else, so I'm embarrassed of me. I know I look like a freak. From the inside, I feel normal. But when I see myself in a mirror, I feel like some monster.
This set a deeply grim tone for her episode, but the most gut-wrenching issue was her legs, which were swollen to an enormous size due to extreme lymphedema. Yet the real problem was what that crushing weight was doing to her body.
Because I have open sores that can get infected.
They would have already healed, except for my lymphedema is so heavy on my left side that it tears it back open.
The sight of open sores under her folds was terrifying, and what made it even more disturbing was the fact that they kept on tearing and opening.
So they start to close and then they open.
She spoke about a terrible cycle where any kind of progress got ruined by the sheer weight of her own legs, trapping her in a never-ending battle with infection.
And this area never healed, huh?
Nope, the more I walk around, the worse it opens. It bleeds all the time.
Not only this, but her medical situation was just as bad as it appeared, and even Dr. Now looked surprised when he checked her.
She's close to losing ability to even stand up. If that happened, her infection going to get harder to control, and they will become life-threatening.
One of the most disturbing parts of Charity's story is that she suffered from flesh-eating bacteria and major skin problems, including large fat deposits and leg masses. Later reporting says she underwent removal of masses from her legs, which shows how serious the medical deterioration had become. For viewers, it was the image of a body failing under its own mass. One person reacted by saying, "She's so gross looking, I just cannot with her mouth." Her helplessness was off the charts. She was so heavy that a normal toilet could not hold her weight, so she needed a portable restroom brought to her.
You gotta bring that toilet over, babe.
This duty fell to her fiancé, but it was so demanding that her young daughter also had to help. The sight of a patient's children in such graphic medical care added a deeply uncomfortable layer. Many criticized how a mother could let her child become a full-time caretaker. As one viewer stated, "The day I need someone to clean my undercarriage is the day all my personal dignity is lost. I think I'd rather not be here." What made Charity's story unforgettable was how the grossness and tragedy became one. A relentless visual of a body collapsing in on itself, making her episode the show's clearest example of physical ruin. Unfortunately, she died at age 50 in January 2026, after being in hospice care for ongoing health issues, including lymphedema and fluid buildup in her lungs. As horrific as Charity's physical decay was, James King added a whole new level of disgust by doing everything except losing weight and fix his life. When he first arrived in the show in Season 5, Episode 11, he weighed around 750 pounds, making him the heaviest patient on the series at the time, but it later climbed to 840 pounds after his appearance, which deepened the sense that his health was spiraling out of control. James's size was so extreme that he was bedridden, unable to stand, and barely able to move his legs. His poor hygiene and ignorant mindset had caused him to develop severe cellulitis and gross, pus-filled blisters on his legs that looked like they could rip open even under small movement. And to top it all off, his lymphedema had made his skin look visibly rotting, with fluid draining out, making the sight extremely disgusting. But the biggest factor that had led to all of this was his refusal to take any responsibility or accountability whatsoever. To add to his disgusting habits, James had his girlfriend Lisa and his daughter Bailey at his disposal all day every day to clean him up and change him in case he peed or soiled his bed.
Lisa.
Huh? Did you call me?
Yeah, I went to the bathroom. I need to be cleaned up.
Okay. All right, give me a minute.
All of this became a norm in their household, with Bailey and Lisa lifting him up and changing his sheets, all while he lay there ignorantly. When they themselves weren't enough to hold him properly, they had to call and rely on outsiders for help, just so they could bathe him and clean his skin folds. However, on top of having poor hygiene and disgusting habits, what grossed out viewers even more was how James and Lisa had made Bailey drop out of school so she could serve him food and clean his feces all day.
My mom pulled me out of school because I have to help with my dad. I don't feel like that I should have to be a caretaker to my dad because a father is supposed to protect and take care of his daughter.
This kind of dependence is one of the most uncomfortable recurring themes on the show, because the entire household gets reorganized around one person's immobility. This family burden adds another layer of ugliness because his decline affected every person around him. This revelation incredibly infuriated viewers who had already had enough of him. They sided with Bailey by commenting, "Making the daughter drop out of school because of her father's gluttony and laziness is evil, especially as the mother's there and should be doing it. Shitty parents and people. The daughter seems surprisingly together. Hope she gets through it all okay." Even so, James pretended not to notice what was going on around him or what he was doing. He ate a huge amount of food every single day, never once thinking about how much worse his health was becoming.
I always feel guilty because we just keep giving food to him.
It looks good, baby.
When I tell him he doesn't need it, he'll get mad and he'll yell.
And this was happening while Lisa kept serving him meals, with no sense of responsibility on her part either, and his already deteriorating condition kept on worsening.
When I take that first bite, it's heaven. I just love it. Good breakfast.
Don't worry about Daddy eating so much.
However, there was one more factor that made his episode even more disgusting: the filth that surrounded his whole room. Not only did he never get washed or scrubbed properly, but there were also bottles and bags of urine lined up in his room. Those bottles never got replaced or thrown away, making the sight all the more disgusting. All of that filth and neglect ended up in a grim reality as James tragically passed away in April 2020 at age 49 in a Nashville hospital after health battles that included sepsis and cirrhosis of the liver. His death gave his episode a much darker legacy, especially because viewers remembered how dire Dr. Now said his condition was. For many viewers, his episode was one of the grossest in the show's history, but not the most gross, because James was not even close to Stephen Asante. Stephen appeared on Season 5, Episode 13 as a perfect storm of deliberate disgust and shocking disrespect that left everyone appalled. Stephen and his brother Justin were brought to the show by their father, who was desperate to save both sons' lives. Stephen was over 700 pounds when he appeared, which immediately marked him as one of the show's most severe cases. Stephen's mobility was heavily restricted, and his size made it difficult for him to function normally or maintain consistent treatment. He was frequently in situations where he needed assistance from others, which intensified the sense of chaos around him, because it took multiple nurses just to clean him. A lot of it started with his outright refusal to maintain basic hygiene, which resulted in his body getting covered in what looked like barnacles, which was a direct result of chronic neglect. People who encountered him described the smell as one of the worst they had ever experienced, including Dr. Now, who directly confronted Stephen about the overpowering odor during his visits.
All right. How's your activity?
My activity's been really good. I've been working out every single day, walking, doing the weights, and drinking a lot of water, and trying every day to eat solid foods as much as I can.
So, what is going on with your personal hygiene? You heard of something called soap and water?
Yeah, it's...
I have a couple of people back there puking from the smell that you have. When was the last time you took a shower?
The other day.
What the other day?
The other day.
And the other day, which other day?
Not yesterday, but...
Day before yesterday?
Yeah.
I don't believe that. It seems like it's been a week or two. So why is that? Why not yesterday? Why not today?
I will.
The production crew doesn't get the recognition they deserve. The people in the doctor's office only had to deal with that smell for a short period of time. Production team is around him 24/7. And when Stephen showed the rash that he told Dr. Now about, it was disgusting enough that it proved Stephen's complete lack of self-hygiene and the extent of his neglect.
Let's see.
Okay. What is this?
All right. So we need to give you some medicine for that, okay?
Even Stephen's own father described his disgusting habits, but what's even more unsettling is that Stephen did all of this out of spite. He was perfectly able to stand up and go to the bathroom on his own.
So this is the room he would eat in, use his urinals to go to the bathroom. The only time he went to the regular bathrooms when he had to go number 2.
His uncleanliness was not merely a case of ignoring basic care. Instead, it was done on purpose as a sign of disrespect.
This video is just for you taxpayers, and I want to say thank you very much, you motherfucking hater, tax-paying ass motherfucking douchebag, bitch having ass motherfucker. Thank you for paying taxes, because without you, I would not have this urinal to pee in.
He used to stockpile the containers at his apartment and later did the same at his hospital room. However, his need to control things went beyond just stockpiling. Whenever he was raging or had an outburst, he would purposely make a big mess for the exhausted staff to clean.
I never seen any patient like Steven. He asking for pain medicine every 15 minutes and then he spilled urine on the floor.
I'm just really upset, okay?
And in the aftermath, they would discover something even more personal and disturbing.
You're pulling your hair out.
Well, I'm not pulling it out like big, huge pieces, but they're like little strands that accumulate.
Most people just say they're pulling their hair out as an expression, but you actually do it.
The worst about pulling his hair out was that he spread it all over his room like a filthy nest. But what truly locked in his reputation for being the grossest patient was spraying cologne right onto his crotch. Given his well-known refusal to wash, this was not viewed as a way to freshen up, but rather as a repulsive attempt to cover up the stench growing in his skin folds. Stephen was notorious for his temper, yelling, and explosive attitude toward the staff. When Dr. Now confronted him about it, he openly admitted that he struggled to control his attitude, and at times, his demands were completely unreasonable.
So you seem like you have an issue getting along with hospital staff, and I'm not liking what I'm hearing.
At times, I sometimes I get frustrated. I tell them, if I act like a kid, I want you to treat me like a kid.
How old are you?
I'm 33 years old.
So it's time for you to grow up.
This volatility made him one of the most gross and most hated patients on the show, and to add to this disgust, his neglect left his body visibly deformed, with legs so swollen that they resembled an elephant's. In the end, Steven Asante built a reputation that goes beyond just typical patient struggles. He fits as one of the franchise's most notorious gross episodes because the disgust comes from both the body horror and the personality chaos.